Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no lie here. Palantir, 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 Palantir. It's not going to stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Church off!
I am not a church boy.
Church off!
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Thursday matinee edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular. At least I think I'm here. Am I here?
You are here. You are here.
I'm here.
We can
all
see
right.
you. You're good.
All right. Well, I apologize about all the craziness today, folks, and about the delay. There is nothing we can do about it. I woke up and realized we were in a semi-internet outage, which means the internet is technically working, but working very, very badly. And then it said they were going to come back online at 10 o'clock. So I figured, all right, that's 2 hours in advance of the show. Then it said we're going to come back online at 11:30. 11 o'clock came. We were not back on full capacity. Not to get too wonky with all of you, but you need good upload speeds to do this. So the download speeds are working. The upload speeds are garbage. So then they said we were out of the outage at 11:30. Thought we were good to go. Still wasn't working right. Spent an hour on the phone with Spectrum to be told my router was shot. And I said, what are the odds that my router is shot right after we had an outage?
Of course
like,
not.
it's not a hardware issue. Yeah, I understand that seems unlikely, but your modem is coming through. The router isn't. So you go pick up another router this afternoon. I say, okay. Get off the phone literally 3 minutes later, Spectrum. We're in another outage. It's expected to be restored at 4 o'clock. So I apologize. There's literally nothing we can do about it. We will do the best we can. I'm in Cambodia today. See, what do I have to go to Cambodia for? I get internet problems.
Holiday in Cambodia.
Yeah. Exactly. We have internet problems here. What do I need to go to Cambodia for?
That's right.
Yeah.
It's like you're getting the Cambodia experience.
I'm getting the Cambodia experience
without having to go. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like the state capitol building.
Without the blistering heat.
Yeah. Capitol building, Angkor Wat, it's a wash, really.
Yeah, man. I was watching a video the other day.
We got museums here with stuffed bears and deer.
You do. You know what? If you're talking about the New York State Museum.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. This is what a weirdo I am. Like at the end of every semester when I went to Albany, that was like my treat to myself. I used to love to go to that museum by myself as like the end of semester, like chill out. I used to just wander that museum alone. I loved it there.
Yeah, it's a cool museum. We took the kids to it a while back.
They still have that like 1970s train car.
They still got the train car. Oh yeah, it's huge. They got the train car. They still have the what do they call them? The mastodons and the what is there's the mastodon and there's the other thing, the woolly mammoth. They're not the same thing. I always thought they were the same thing.
Yeah, and they have like the New York State animals. They have like the wolf and all that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
I don't know why I found it very relaxing at the end of the semester to go there.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool and it's free. It's a pretty cool place. They got the Ferris wheel at the top. Cool stuff.
Ferris wheel? No, they didn't have that.
Not a Ferris wheel. When I talk about Ferris wheel, my mind is all over the place today. I don't know how I'm going to do the show. What's the other thing? The carousel. The carousel.
No, they didn't have that either.
Okay, Ferris wheel. Yeah, they got a Ferris wheel.
I mean, you're going back like 30 years now.
Yeah. They got the carousel now. All right, folks. So we're gonna do the best we can. We know we'll get Russ's segments in. We'll do the best we can with mine, and then we'll see what we could do from there. We are in the hands of the tech gods today. We got 788 strong in the YouTube chat, 324 in the Rumble chat. Thanks everybody very much for being here. Smash that like button if you can. Smash that subscribe button if you're not subscribed. And I guess we'll get started.
Yeah, I mean, your vocals are good. That's really the most important thing.
Yeah, but then when we go to play the video, we'll see how that works.
Well, yeah. I mean, maybe it'll clear up over the course of the show.
Bastards. I hate them.
That's how they get you.
That's how they get you. I just don't understand how you can expect someone to believe that their hardware crapped out right coincidentally as there was a system-wide outage in the area. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's weird. So that's why I say true stranger in fiction.
That's why I voted for Ed Gallrein.
And it's not because my cousins fucked and made me.
None of that screwy stuff going to be going on around here no more with Ed Gallrein.
All right. Speaking of whom, so there's been quite a fiery conversation as various factions with various interests attempt to gain control of the narrative while others try to tell the truth and are getting shouted down, or people are trying to shout them down anyway. So Brian Allen here, he summed up the state of affairs pretty well. 3 billionaires just bought a house seat for $32 million. Paul Singer, John Paulson, Miriam Adelson. They funded a super PAC that ran an AI-generated deepfake showing Thomas Massie in a fake throuple with 2 Democratic women. The disclaimer that it was AI showed for 4 seconds. AIPAC and the Republican Jewish Coalition spent millions more. The president personally visited the district. The defense secretary traveled to Kentucky the day before the vote. Yesterday, Massie lost by 10,035 votes. The lawmaker who wanted the Epstein files released lost. The lawmaker who opposed the Iran war lost. The lawmaker who voted against the spending bill lost. 3 billionaires, 1 cabinet secretary on the road, a sitting president campaigning against a member of his own party, 32 million. That's not how primaries used to work. That's how primaries work now. Well, as we will see, Mr. Allen, all I can say to our MAGA friends is welcome to our pain. Welcome. I think we know a thing or two about what you're going through right now.
Hurts having a candidate shoved down your throat, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? I seem to remember something like that happening to us. So here's Massie at his concession, and this line drew quite a lot of attention.
All right. Listen, I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent and concede, and it took a while to find Ed Gallrein in Tel Aviv.
Oh.
I did get the call through, though. I have called and conceded the race. We've been honorable the whole time, and we're going to stay that way.
Cue meltdown. Cue false outrage. Alex Witkoff, even in his concession speech, Thomas Massie had to take a shot at Israel/Jews. I didn't hear him say anything about Jews. Did you? I didn't hear anything. He said Tel Aviv.
He said Tel Aviv.
It didn't say Central Synagogue.
He didn't say Katz's Deli.
Tel Aviv. He didn't say Katz's Deli. He said Tel Aviv. People wonder why anti-Semitism is exploding in America. Well, look in the fucking mirror, Jack.
They only stole the career he worked his whole life for, at the last second,
Yeah, maybe it's people like you that are
Yeah.
causing anti-Semitism by making a conflation between Tel Aviv and Jews.
Right.
While politicians casually use Jewish associations, no, Israel is a state. It's a state. As political punchlines and smears, it's vile. If you said someone's taking their orders from Rome, would that be anti-Italian? You said
Right.
that?
Exactly.
Mehdi Hassan, he didn't say a word about Jews, and you writing Israel/Jews and conflating the two is actually anti-Semitic per the IHRA definition. Oh, look, he's right. He's right. We have a couple of isn't it two Democrats in Congress right now trying to reintroduce the IHRA definition, or
That's
is
right.
it one from each party? It's two Democrats, isn't it?
Well, what is it? It's who is it? Is it Golden or Gottheimer? And then I don't know who else.
And that's another schmuck.
Yeah.
He did make a dig about Israel because the pro-Israel lobby tonight is bragging about defeating him, which they did with millions of dollars. Glenn Greenwald responding here to David Frum. Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney broke with their party to stand for democracy when it counted most and at severest political and personal risk. But they didn't make sly jokes about their opponents having phone numbers with Tel Aviv dial-in codes. Why would they? How would that have even come up? How would that have come up? Glenn Greenwald. The anti-Massie campaign was financed by 3 Israel-centric billionaires. Yes. The leader was former IDF soldier Miriam Adelson, whom Trump suggested is most loyal to Israel. He did. He said that. He said that on a stage. They broke their own spending record. Screaming anti-Semitism won't change or distract from this fact. And unregistered agent of Israel here, Jake Tapper, says, supporters of Israel have long opposed Massie. They're real. So this is the corporate media is really trying to spin it like this. But he lost tonight because President Trump wanted him defeated. And Trump is incredibly popular in his district and in the GOP. Ryan Grimm responded, if Trump is so powerful, why did Adelson and Singer et al. Spend $20 million to beat him? Are they morons? And Gen X girl with her inimitable panache, AIPAC said you lie. And she just shared out what AIPAC said. Ed Gallrein's victory in Kentucky and Clay Fuller's win in Georgia ensures 2 outspoken pro-Israel voices are positioned to fill seats previously held by outspoken detractors Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Our community was proud to help pro-Israel candidates win these races. I mean, Jake Tapper should scream anti-Semitism at AIPAC.
Yeah.
Right? And then more. They kept crowing about it. They were crowing about this all night. Congratulations to U.S. Navy SEAL Ed Gallrein for defeating anti-Israel incumbent Thomas Massie. Pro-Israel Americans are proud to back candidates who support a strong America-Israel with the flags alliance and help defeat those who work to undermine it. Being pro-Israel is good policy and politics. And there's a little community note on here. AIPAC spent around $15.5 million on Ed Gallrein during this election. But you're anti-Semitic if you say what they're literally saying. AIPAC is literally saying they won, at least in part, because we poured enormous amounts of money into this result, but you're anti-Semitic if you actually just repeat what they said, right? Here's Zay Squirrel. Zionist hegemony is when an incumbent member of Congress who used to win their primaries with 80+% support is targeted for removal by 3 Jewish supremacist billionaires for having displeased them and their precious Israel, then gets booted out and replaced with a warm body, while the media class says it's just because people no longer liked him and he's an anti-Semite. Yeah, it's a good summary of the state of play here. So here's Scott Jennings offering his personal note of deep offense at the concession speech from Massie.
He said, look, we can get a Republican congressman that'll be part of the team and support the president. That campaign worked. I just want to also add one other thing. Thomas Massie tonight in his concession speech said something despicable, anti-Semitic, nasty, gutter politics, right at the end. What a way to go out. He said, I would have called Ed Galrine, but I had to find him in Tel Aviv. There was an undercurrent of anti-Semitism in this race on the Massie side. There's been an undercurrent of it in his career, unfortunately, and it really came out in an ugly way tonight. And I think it needs to be stated, acknowledged, and condemned because it was pretty despicable.
Yeah, he got the call. Listen, when you go on tonight, I want you to say something about the concession speech. Talk about how it was anti-Semitic, okay? And then we give you a bonus at the end of the week. Now, of course, who does he work for? Who's Scott Jennings work for? He works for Salem Media Group. Salem Media Group's chief strategy officer is Brad Parscale. Who is Brad Parscale? Well, he was a former spokesperson for Donald Trump. He was former campaign chief. And he's officially registered as a foreign agent for Israel, tasked with building pro-Israel content designed to sway Generation Z. So his boss is a registered agent of Israel. I've said this before when Scott Jennings starts whistling this tune. You think Scott Jennings gives a fuck about Jews or Israel? No, that's who pays him. Does he seem like the kind of guy that would deeply accept maybe on a, well, we got to play along with them until Jesus comes and kicks the shit out of them? Maybe on that level he's into Israel, but do you think that guy likes it? You think Scott Jennings strike you as a guy who really would stay up nights about people of different races being discriminated against? Does he strike you as this kind of a guy? No, that's who pays him, as is the case with pretty much all of these people. But then, see, this is the contradiction. If you understand Zionist Jews, if you understand Zionists, this is particular to Zionist Jews more than Zionist Christians. Because of their particular psychological stew, they can't help but crow about it when they feel like they won. They can't help but brag about it, right? It's this trauma. They couldn't prevent the Holocaust. Their families were killed. So all of this is, see, we're strong. We're powerful now. They can't help themselves. So they wind up basically saying the things that they accuse people of being anti-Semitic for saying because it's part of the bragging. How can they not, if you understand the psychology of Zionist Jews, there is no way they could take out Thomas Massie with their money and not brag about it. But you can't brag about it without conceding the argument to what people are saying, that you bought the election. But they just can't help themselves. Even though it's bad for the cause, they can't help themselves. So here's Lucky Boy. We want to bring this phrase to America. This is a Chinese import I'm trying to bring back to America. This is what they call Nepo babies there. Lucky Boys. Lucky Boy, John Podhoretz, literally inherited his father's old position in media. Here he is, just straight out explaining how Jewish money. He says, he doesn't even say Zionist. He says Jewish money bought these elections.
It is a good thing if Massie and the people like him and others believe that if you cross the line into anti-Semitism, Jews are going to use the power that we have openly to go for you, because what other recourse is there? Are we just going to sit here and take it, beg for scraps, hope that nice people are nice to us? The Democratic Party is going explicitly anti-Semitic. We can see it happening. People are getting benefits, as Seth says, for being anti-Semites. That seems to be part of an appeal in primaries to the left and the party. We have to use what means there are at our disposal. And in my view, and I'm going to put it blank, that is Jewish money. There is an enormous amount of Jewish money in politics, by which I mean Jewish donors.
Can you imagine if Ilhan Omar said this?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if she said this? Jewish money in politics. Wow.
Wildly disproportionate, not only charitably, but politically. And when I say charitably, I mean nobody really knows the numbers. Jews make up 2% of the population. According to some studies, Jews make up 20% of the charitable contributions made in the United States annually. That is a tenfold. Think about that. Think about the disproportion of that. And in politics, it's pretty close.
This gives us a great advantage over, say, the blacks, who tend to be poor. They tend to have a harder time buying the races than the Jews because we have more money.
Next week, I will be appearing at an event at a round table at the 92nd Street Y with the leader of Stormfront, because it turns out we agree on a lot of things, like the disproportionate influence of Jews on politics.
Yeah.
Like, you're literally making the argument of you're going straight into anti-Semitism, right?
Of course.
Like there's the thing they go berserk about. You're saying that Jews spend 10 times more money than is represented by their proportion of the population to influence politics. Like he says, charity, but it's in a context where he's talking about political contributions.
Also, and if that money isn't used, why do people give money? Because they want to influence elections to get people elected who reflect their views. Well, this is an existential issue for Jews. And the Jews who explicitly give money because they want to make it clear to anti-Semitic candidates that they are going to have to go through a buzzsaw and that they are not going to simply waltz in and be, if they're treated with kid gloves by the New York Times, we are double time.
Oh, okay, and look at the panel. They are fucking shitting themselves.
Yeah.
They have no idea what to do with this. They're like, if we agree, they're going to call us anti-Semitic, but he's Jewish. What do we think? They don't, they didn't say a single word through this entire monologue. Not one word.
Going to do what we can to expose who they are, to find out what we can find out about them that will harm them, and that we will do what we can to prevent them from taking office. What other choice does American Jewry have?
All right, you just confirmed every single thing that the people you're attacking are saying. Every single thing. We're going to make sure you don't get in office. We're going to make sure you get out. We spend more money proportionately than our numbers represent. We're gonna pour Jewish money into races. Wow. Everything that you claim is anti-Semitic, this guy just said openly. Greenwald responded to this. It's always like this. Israel loyalists explicitly threaten U.S. politicians with destruction if they don't support Israel because, as Norm Poderitz's Nepo baby, or Lucky Boy, I gotta send Glenn that note. Try Lucky Boy.
Yeah.
Says here, there's an enormous amount of Jewish money in politics. But if you say it, you're an anti-Semite. Yeah. Yeah. Even us, we're capos, right?
Yeah.
So here's Dan Bongina. He had a big rant on the night of the election. And here the next day, he did a monologue. It's basically a rehash of what he said in his tweet. We'll watch some of it.
Folks, I was pretty harsh on X last night after Tom Massie lost his primary as the incumbent congressman in Kentucky 4. There's a lesson in this, folks, and the lesson is this. The lesson is that running with a bunch of failed comedians like that coward dipshit Dave Smith, who, if you've seen pictures of him that have been floating around the internet, looks like he got beat up a lot in high school. He's a tough guy, though, on X all the time. I'll end you. I'll end you. Yeah,
It's like a guy who says, "Hey, I'm going to be really hard on pedophiles," and then
Yeah.
once he's in a position to do something about it, he fucks off back to his podcast.
Yeah.
He's like one of those guys.
Yeah. You'll end us. Sure, buddy. I'm sure you've ended. I'm sure a lot of men. You've ended a lot of men, Dave. Jimmy Dore, another joker. Maybe jumping in bed with Igor Third Reichland. Maybe jumping into bed with a bunch of clowns and anti-Semitic losers with Nazi symbols and running around telling you how much they hate the Jews, blaming it for everything. Maybe it's a bad idea in a conservative primary. Maybe it's a really bad idea. It is a bad idea because let me tell you something. We've been in this movement a lot longer. This is our party. You don't get to jump into the party, come on in there, take a big shit in the punch bowl, and then wonder why we handed you your ass on the way out the door.
Cash did that one night after a little too much vindaloo, but it was excusable. No man wants to shit his pants. The punch bowl was right there.
Yeah.
Despite being a decades-long incumbent in office. You're not us. Stop pretending. Just admit you hang out with your foreign terror river to the sea people and go hang out on the left. You're not welcome here. Get the fuck out. We don't want you. I don't know what part of we don't want you. You're the type of people, a bunch of chumps and cowards and zeros. I feel bad. A lot of these clowns look like they got their asses kicked in high school a lot. I'm sorry. That shouldn't have happened to you. But your psychological trauma shouldn't be everybo's trauma.
Yeah,
you don't get to come into the treehouse we built and then crap all over the place and then wonder why we toss.
No. I am sure Dan Bongino's audience is the portrait of mental health and wide options for social interaction. Yeah, I'm sure it's his audience.
Get your ass out. You don't belong here. This is not the anti-Semitic party. It's not the racist party. It's not the anti-black, anti-Hispanic party. This is the party of universal, inalienable rights endowed by the Creator. That's our party. You never belonged here. We don't want you. I saw all the threats last.
Okay, all right. So this is a running theme with these guys. Now, keep in mind, man, these psyops are coordinated. They are really trying to use this to get the broken-brained remaining MAGA people to finally convince themselves that 2 + 2 = 5, that dedication to Israel is America first, and that people who oppose Israel are, leftists or they're woke or something. They've been trying to do that the whole time. But now they're really trying to do a full-court press to get people to go, see what happens when you don't listen to Trump and do the thing. They're real. I don't think it's going to work. It'll work on the most regarded people around. It's not going to work in general. So I responded last night to his tweet because me, Keaton, and Jimmy were talking about it, and those two already got banned.
Yeah,
those two already got blocked. I was the only one who wasn't blocked by Dan Bongino yet, so it was for me to respond. So I said, I'm getting very strong beta cuck who found out his boss was the pedophile he was looking for and then covered it up vibes. Anyone else feeling that? About 12 hours later, boom. I thought he's the tough guy. I thought, what? You know who I would expect this from? Someone who got beat up a lot in high school.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
It's the kind of behavior of someone who got beat up a lot in high school that they can't take some mean words from a pretty obscure podcaster. I'm sure he's never heard of. Benny in the closet. We got to get a counter on the screen. How many days it's been since he hasn't sued Milo Yiannopoulos for talking about how his wife was crying in the lobby of a hotel while he fucked guys upstairs. Yeah. How many days is it since he has not sued Milo for that?
No.
The lesson of tonight: politics is a war zone. Pick your team. So he goes in the direction of all these people. They're newbies. They don't know how it works.
Tons of them last night. You got these people
sorry about that.
Loudest and most insufferable political commentary accounts are all new on this platform and are probably on life support right now, given the Thomas Massie blowout defeat that just happened. But let me explain this to you calmly and slowly. It was always going to happen. You weren't living in reality because you haven't been doing this long enough. You don't understand the laws of gravity around here. And so your over-emotional takes and your humiliating crash outs have been embarrassing for you. And all of us who've been doing this, me for nearly 2 decades, understood what was about to happen to Thomas Massie, because ultimately politics is a war zone. Politics is not about your niche boutique issues on things. It's about a team sport. In war, you pick a side.
It's about grabbing the guy next to you, maybe from behind, and holding him very tight, because that's your partner. You might thrust against him, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. That's, it's like football players. They slap each other in the head. It's like that.
Like that.
It's bonding. It's bonding.
And you fight with that side. If you don't fight with that side, if you fight against your side, you'll get left in the dirt, in the mud. That's what happens in war. You'll be put in the trench. And that's what just happened to Thomas Massie. Why? Because Thomas Massie represents a Trump plus 40 district. Do you understand that that's
just
one of the most
basic premise
pro-Trump districts in America? Thomas Massie should vote for every single piece of legislation that Trump puts forward, because that's what his constituents demanded. That's what they want in Kentucky for. Thomas Massie didn't do that. He voted with Democrats, 1 out of every 4 votes, and he pissed off the likes of Stephen Miller, who's the architect of Trump policy and MAGA policy. He pissed off Donald Trump. He pissed off J.D. Vance. He pissed off everybody. And how you think that's going to work out for him? They're going to go.
All right. So the message, according to Benny Johnson, the way you're supposed to do politics is to be a rubber stamp for whoever the leader of your party is. If the leader of your party is exposed as a sick PDF file rapist of children, well, bow your head, man. Go along with it. If the leader of your party is selling the country out to a foreign power, completely reversing himself on everything you thought you were voting for, nope, you have to go along with that. Now, the question of what the purpose of being in politics is at that point is not going to be addressed by Benny in the closet. This is a man who lives a fake double life, so I guess he assumes everyone else is comfortable being 2 different people, one in public and one in private. You can have your principles, I guess, in the closet as far as Benny is concerned. But our friend Jimmy here responded to this. The lesson from tonight is that Thomas Massie won Republicans 55 and under. He did. This was all boomers. And again, welcome to our world, MAGA. Welcome to our world. I hear you, man. Lost to the Fox News geriatrics. Yeah, for us, that's the MSNBC geriatrics.
Right.
Because they spent $32 million to beat him. If the lesson was betray your team and lose, then why did they have to spend 32 million Zionist dollars to beat him? It's a very good question that none of them address. The lesson is money runs the country, and the people who are elected don't serve the voters. They serve the Epstein class. Hey, this all sounds very familiar to me. You see the way they're trying to frame them as not being real Republicans and not being on the team and really being more like the other side, right? Yeah, look at that. Welcome, Bernie's Angry Bros, New York Times. The Sanders online army resembles President Trump's most ardent supporters in more ways than either side might care to admit. Again, welcome to our world, guys. Welcome to our world. I know what you're going through, man. I know you thought you had a political party that you were going to influence, that you had some kind of a say in, and now you just found out it was all bullshit. It's all nonsense. They don't care about you. They don't want you. They're going to openly insult you. They're going to go tell you to fuck off. Yeah, it's a hard day, man. It's a hard day. I feel for you guys right now. Keaton Weiss. As I said on the show, this was a Pyrrhic victory for MAGA. Just as a lot of Bernie supporters exited after realizing how far their party would go to fuck them over, a lot of principled libertarian conservatives are going to bail on the GOP after this result tonight. Yeah, Haaretz actually had an article to that effect, arguing basically, yeah, this might be a victory that was not worth the winning because of what damage you've done to the image of these lobbies and what you've exposed about their influence.
And the party itself. I mean, you've already seen some videos circulating of people saying, "I voted Republican 20 years and I'm out."
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, exactly. And what happened in 2016 after the Bernie thing? What happened? Who won?
Right.
Who won?
Exactly. And everybody, well, yeah, whatever. Trump has a 93% approval rating in the party. Okay, well, elections are won and lost at the margin. So I'm not saying half the party's going to collapse, but if you lose 3%, that's huge. If you lose 1%, it could be huge, depending on a state here and there.
A lot of his victory was drawing in these libertarians who, look, man, it's hard to be out in the cold, right? They explicitly, it was very politically smart. They explicitly extended a hand to these libertarians and kind of tacitly told them that they were going to have a voice.
Right.
And they a lot of them went for it. Dave Smith, he's a perfect example of one of those libertarians who took that devil's bargain, and now you lost all those people.
Right. Exactly.
And in terms of Jews, and we've been saying this from day one, Kim Iverson put this out, and I think she's absolutely right. The defeat of Thomas Massie is the worst thing to happen to Jews in America. I don't know about the worst thing.
I think
Oscar Mayer,
Friends.
hot dogs,
I think
maybe.
Friends was the worst thing. Yeah.
Not being willing to come out and say that the Seinfeld cast was supposed to be Jewish.
Yeah.
Might be the worst thing that ever happened. Every single Jew will be subject to suspicion of dual loyalty. I'm just telling you how it is. I mean, we're already kind of there. AIPAC, Israel, and Miriam Adelson have ensured a deep hatred for Israel and a deep suspicion that many of our fellow Americans are actually Israelis infiltrating our politics and country. They thought Nick Fuentes was bad. They have no idea what they just created within our youth. Yes. Who did he win with? Under 55. How are they going to take this? I can now see humans repeat history, and yes, I can now see a future where Jewish Americans are eradicated from government and expelled to Israel. And they'll scream, see, this is why we did what we did. You might not like this post, but someone needs to say it. A deep hatred for Israel and a deep suspicion of Jews is solidifying in our younger generations, not just in the U.S., but worldwide. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. And when all of these Zionists say that you're anti-Semitic for saying I had to find my opponent in Tel Aviv, they are reinforcing that because they are ensuring when synagogues have land sales in the West Bank, synagogues should not be doing that.
Right.
They make it very difficult to argue Judaism is not Zionism. And that's what they want. So this guy responds to this. That's because of sinister individuals exactly like you who would only ever question the loyalty of Jews and not of anyone else. You nefariously manufacture and perpetuate double standards, then you subversively weaponize the asymmetry as evidence of your own predispositions. And Kim points out, you're not supposed to notice these very obvious things. LOL, he literally has both the U.S. flag and Israeli flag in his profile. Yeah, I mean, maybe that's not the look to sport if you want to argue that no one should be suspecting Zionists of dual loyalty. Maybe you shouldn't have the Israeli flag in your profile. But these people don't have the most self-awareness, right? So from the Democratic side, Bernie Sanders, former kibbutznik and unrepentant Zionist, by the way. AIPAC just spent $9 million to take out Thomas Massie. Trump mega donor spent another $7 million. It was the most ever spent on a House primary race, all because he defied Trump on Gaza and Epstein. No billionaire super PACs should not buy our elections. One person, one vote. See, that he can say. That's within Bernie's comfort zone. You know, notice how he says Gaza. He doesn't say Israel. He says Gaza. Right. It's Netanyahu. It's not Israel. But you know, it's kind of his beat there, money and politics. And someone asked, Midas Touch asked Ilhan Omar what she thought about Massie's defeat.
I think that Massie was defeated last night because of his support for transparency in the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
Yes, and his anti-war stances, his advocacy in trying to make sure our tax dollars don't continue to fund a genocide in Gaza. You know, those $30 million did not come from thin air. We know who paid for that money.
Yeah, I mean, he said that, you know, Israel is the only country that is allowed to buy elections here other than our own. So.
Well, certainly in his case, in Cori Bush's case, and in Jamal Bowman's case, that statement seems to be accurate.
Got it. Thank you, Congresswoman.
Yeah.
Now, Nancy Mace is on a real tear now. Ilhan Omar is just one of many foreign-born members of this government who have made clear time and again their loyalty is not here. The American people deserve leaders who put America first. And now she's proposing, if you were not born in America, you should not hold power in our government. End of story. So I replied to this. How about people with dual citizenship who serve in a foreign army? So far, I have not gotten a response. But hey, we should call Brian Mast's office and ask him about that. There's an IDF veteran. Now, in terms of dual citizenship to Israel, you know, I discovered this researching for this segment. Congress people don't have to reveal other citizenships. They don't have to disclose that. So we do not actually know. I would assume Brian Mast served in the IDF. He must have citizenship to Israel. If Chuck Schumer does not have dual Israeli citizenship, I'll eat my hat. I would be shocked. But we don't actually know which of them have it. But hey, man, you're going to say people who claim that the loyalty of MAGA and the Republican Party is to Israel are anti-Semitic? Well, you know, somebody should really tell your president. Your president is out there bragging about his poll numbers in Israel. It's a pretty funny thing for an American president to do. He's talking about how he might run for office over there.
At 99% in Israel, I could run for prime minister. So maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister. I had a poll this morning. I'm 99%. So that's good. But
okay. And I mean, it's a funny interpretation of America first. It's a really funny way of expressing your dedication to America as your primary concern. Now, look, there's only one election I've ever examined deeply enough to be able to say conclusively there was rigging. And of course, that was the Sanders primaries. There was absolutely rigging both times. You had with the Buttigieg, Iowa shenanigans in 2020. 2016, you had constant exit polls that were always wrong in one direction, always in Hillary's favor. When they did some audits in Illinois, they found irregularities in the vote counts. There was definitely rigging in that election. So it goes on. It absolutely goes on. I have not dug into this in a way that I can say for sure that happened here. I can only go on some data points that, you know, it's worth examining. So supposedly this guy won an overwhelming victory. A lot of people are pointing out it's very strange nobody went to his victory party if that's the case. It's very weird for a guy who won 55% of the vote. Get more people at a Hillary rally.
Yeah, exactly.
Emerald Robinson, if Galrain did beat Massie in a fair election, then why did only 20 people show up to celebrate his win? Yeah, it's very weird, man. And here's Ryan Matta. This is what he put together. And again, I'm just passing it on. I didn't have the time to really dig into the numbers on this. He did, show his work. There's a video accompanying this if you want to watch it. Ed Galrain increased the voter turnout in his race against the incumbent Thomas Massie by 356%. This has never once happened in any primary election in U.S. history going back to 1970. Total voter turnout in a primary increased by over 100%, going from 52,593 in 2024 to 105,361 in 2026. This has also never once happened in a primary election since 1970. Thomas Massie lost by 10,280-ish votes. Ed Galrain received 10,854 mail-in votes yesterday. Ed also received over 57,000 votes, and he couldn't get 100 people to show up to a victory party. If you found any other anomalies, please make a video, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, man. I mean, it's weird if those numbers are right. I'm just passing it on.
Now, devil's advocate, just to pin a couple things there. I mean, I'm sure it's been the case in previous years where you've had someone run unopposed followed by a contentious primary, but the spike in turnout could be that he ran unopposed last time. There's no reason to show up for a a primary or even a general election for that matter where the guy's running unopposed. So that's one possible explanation. But the thing about the party, about the attendance, I mean, obviously out of state money flooded this whole thing. So this was it was a completely astroturf campaign. Who are you appealing to? You're appealing to the lowest information Fox News boomers. And you know what is not being talked about a lot, and I guess you can't do anything about it.
They don't like to stay up late.
Well, actually, speaking of stay up late, I thought of this too. The polls closing at 6 p.m. favors the boomers because they're the ones who are hanging around during the day and can just go vote whenever they want.
It's true.
6 p.m. is an early time for polls to close. Like in most states, it's at least 7, if not 8 or 9. To have the polls close at 6 o'clock definitely favors the older folks in the district.
It's a good point.
No question about
it. Good point.
Yeah.
All right. So here's what, now whether you believe that, don't believe it, I think what Tucker has to say here is pretty dead on.
Action itself, was it another part of the humiliation ritual? Was it a way of saying this election itself? Was it another part of the humiliation ritual? Was it a way of saying to the rest of us, people who sort of believed in democracy, it's all fake? We can get a guy whose last name we can't pronounce elected on a platform everybody in America hates because we can. Because we're billionaires and you're not. And of course our priorities are not aligned with yours. In fact, we hate your priorities and we hate you. We're going to do this to you anyway. Even in Kentucky, we can do it. It's possible that's the message they were sending. Pretty certain, actually. So on one level, this is the saddest moment in a long time. It's not just the death of Thomas Massie's immediate political career, which may be resurrected, one never knows. It's obviously the death of MAGA, whatever that was. But it's also, of course, the end of the Republican Party, as we thought we knew it. The Republican Party of right now bears absolutely no resemblance to the Republican Party we thought we had just elected less than a year and a half ago. None at all. Its parties are completely different. Its slogans are completely different. It is not the same thing. And maybe there's a working majority somewhere of people who support the new priorities of the Republican Party, but the question would be, where is that? Haaretz readers clearly do. They think that was the most important race in America. Amazing that they were following it. But in this country, nobody supports this. Nobody does.
Yeah, not normal people. So finally, our friend Sabby, if you supported Thomas Massie and you're a registered Republican, you should leave the Republican Party immediately and register as an independent. Pro-Israel money did this. The majority of Republicans support Israel. Leave the party. Yeah, I mean, that's a first step. of course, now we're all in the same boat. Welcome, welcome. So what do you do? Like, there is no third party. I said this to Keaton. Maybe I'm wrong. I would say like the populist right would have a better chance of starting a third party than the populist left. Partly for the same reason that the Republican Party doesn't get the resistance that progressive Democrats do. Libertarianism does not bother the money people the way redistributive propositions do. So it might be easier for them to actually get some kind of money behind them. But of course, at that point, what's that money going to do? But I think there's a better chance of a Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene third party materializing. Not that it's a good chance, but I think you got a better chance of that than the Green Party doing more than 2%.
Yeah. I mean, the problem with all this, when Tucker says nobody wants this, he's true in a certain sense. He's true that nobody who pays attention to the world around them wants this, right? And which, in a sense, makes his statement true, that like no one actually wants what Gallrein is selling. Because people who are tuned in, people who actually know what they're talking about, overwhelmingly wanted Massie to win. The problem is the same problem that you run into when you talk about getting third parties off the ground. Third parties sound formidable online because it's a self-selecting sample, right? When you're talking online about building a third party, you're talking with people who are very tuned in to what's going on and very tuned in to the failings of the current system. That is most people in certain curated spaces. That's not most people in the country. When you come to these votes, you're jumping into a pool of fucking stupidity, which is what it is, and that's what Thomas Massie ultimately ran into. Is that as strong as it was an open and shut case for Thomas Massie. The voters voted unanimously for Thomas Massie last time. That's end of discussion in a sane country, in a country that is able to wipe its own ass, much less vote for people who deserve it. But that is too heavy a lift for this country right now. You're still dealing with a huge problem of large swaths of low engagement, low information voters who do what their party bosses tell you to do. And that is not just a Republican thing. It's a Democratic thing as well. That's the problem that the Bernie campaigns ran into. You had people who you literally had people. I ran into people canvassing for Bernie in 2016, not so much 2020. But the first time Bernie ran, it was a major thing running into people when you were out canvassing who literally did not know who he was. And this was in the height of like Bernie fever, when he's filling arenas and stadiums and 30,000 people are showing up. You had large swaths of the population who literally, you'd ask you, Bernie Sanders, who? That's a huge problem.
Yeah, I canvassed in Harlem. I ran into that a lot.
Yeah, then boom, he loses. And now you would never think that. If you were online during the Bernie campaigns, you would think everybody knows who Bernie is. But no.
Right.
No, it's not a one-to-one reflection of real life. It's a good barometer of where the conversation is amongst the most engaged and tuned in people, but that's not all who vote. In fact, most people who vote are not that. And that is a major problem. It is. The ultimate challenge that no one seems to be able to come up with some sort of answer for is, how do you mobilize large swaths of the population whose interests are not being served by the system? How do you get them engaged? Right. And how do you get them engaged in a way such that their actions, electoral or otherwise, whether it's labor actions or things like that, how do you get them to act in their own best interest? Is very, very, very hard, extremely difficult.
Well, and part of the reason for that, and this is definitely something I saw it before I went overseas, but became even more clear to me going to a place that's not this way. They flood the zone with nonsense. They just constantly flood the zone with nonsense so that you can never punch your way to what's real. Nancy Mace talking about denaturalizing people for or not allowing people who are naturalized to serve in government. So now then people will argue about that, which is never going to happen. You would need a constitutional amendment. They just flood the zone with fucking bullshit, with nonsense, so that people can never get to what's real. I've mentioned it a couple times, but it's a good example to me. When I dropped that thing about Mamdani with the wealth tax, and you get so many people who will, get angry about a segment like that for really no reason other than that they were told to from one angle or another. You'll even get people who think they're being left because they're talking about, deferred pensions. But the segment explicitly said it's not about that. It's about whether a wealth tax drives off wealth or whether having rich people. So why do you feel a need to do that? Because you're programmed. You're programmed automatically to create that kind of an argument. And we call it, well, that's democracy, that's civic discourse. No, it fucking isn't. Not if all it does is circle the drain. Not if it's not designed to gain any forward motion, forward momentum, not if it has no purpose. And then as soon as you punch your way out of one of these paper bags, they put you in another. Right. Oh, we're gonna take away your kids if you don't put them in a dress, right? Like that's the gift that keeps on giving for everybody, right?
Yes.
It's keeps everybody fighting about shit while the system does not change. It is all designed to make sure you fight about bullshit so that the system never changes. That is very difficult to deal with because you would have to educate the population. I don't know how, man. Like you have to get them away from that kind of media and framing things in that way. You need to get them off their couches, out of their basements and into their communities to meet each other. It's a lot, man. Like you basically have to rebuild the whole society.
Yeah, I just want to take this because this is relevant to this, and then sorry, we're going a little out of order here, but this will be for the clip. Would you interview the creators on the ground with Massie who are trying to figure out what to focus on for the general against the Epstein class? Ryan Matta, Tiffany Cianci, and James Lee. Know them. I know of Ryan Matta. I don't know the second name, but we do know James Lee. He's been on our show before. I like James Lee a great deal. So sure. However, I do want to just make a point because I'm seeing a lot of this too. We just got tagged in a tweet, somebody saying about how, Massie now is going to need fighters on the ground to build what comes next. Okay, look, folks, Thomas Massie seems like a good man. He seems like a principled man. And on many of the most important issues of the day, he happens to be on the right side of them. This is a bitter pill for a lot of people to swallow, but it's the truth. Thomas Massie's politics set him up for this. Okay. Thomas Massie believes in unfettered accumulation of wealth for corporations and power players who influence the political system. Okay. When you believe in a system such that, everything is for sale, that means everything that can be bought. Like if your politics does not figure out a way to curb the power and influence of very wealthy people, then you're setting yourself up for shit like this. Because what if they decide you're an inconvenience? Now you have all this money flooding into the system and they can knock you off. Like you have to figure your politics has to be grounded in how to disempower the very interests who ended up whacking Thomas Massie. Right. And and there are libertarians who are not, as pro-capitalist as he is. There are those who believe in voluntarism and community building outside of capitalism. That gets a little wonky and theoretical, so we don't have to bore ourselves with that. Thomas Massie's beef with the one big beautiful bill is that it didn't transfer enough power from the state to corporations. And so if you're going to put this kind of money in the hands of people and then try and burn them, what, are you going to be surprised when they come for you? So look, I think he's a very good, he seems like a very good person. I appreciate his work on the Epstein files. I appreciate his work, exposing the influence of organizations like AIPAC. But is Thomas Massie the future? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Enough.
Not to say, and look, as Jimmy says with the Frederick Douglass quote, you work with anyone to do good and no one to do bad. We
Yep.
supported him in this
Sure.
primary to the extent that we covered it for
Sure.
exactly the reasons I just said. But now that he's out of power, is he the guy we look to lead the new thing? No, because his politics contain a fatal flaw, and it is that same fatal flaw that set him up to be destroyed in this way.
Well, this is what always gets me with not just libertarians, with capitalist ideologues. They love to talk about communism as purely theoretical and impossible in the real world, whereas a capitalism where markets are just going to regulate themselves to ensure that capital doesn't pool in fewer and fewer hands, so that they take over the instruments of the state to accrue more power to themselves. Oh yeah, no, that's totally realistic. That's totally realistic that the marketplace is just going to magically make sure that doesn't happen, even though literally, you want to talk about something that's never happened anywhere it's been tried? Capitalism has never created that kind of self-regulating mechanism anywhere that it's been tried.
Right. Exactly. Look, we got capitalism here. My internet's been out for 9 hours.
Look at that.
9 hours.
Look at that. That's capitalism.
We got capitalism here. Not only
Fucking-
do I got capitalism,
Fucking China, that
Yeah.
fucking internet is like clockwork, baby.
I'm in the capital of the state. I'm in the state capital, not out in the boonies. I'm in a big city here. I can't get internet. It's 9 hours. When have you seen an internet outage for 9 hours? Never. 1, 2, 3 hours tops. This is the all day. So for those joining late, that's why I am pixelated. It's why we had to delay the show. All right. Hey, so I'm gonna pitch Russ an idea live, and you don't have to accept it. But I put the links to my videos in the private chat. Do you want to try and screen share them on your end? They'll play a lot better. If you don't know,
hang on, explain what you did. What?
So in the private chat, there are 2 links.
Yeah, okay.
Those links are 2.
You only have 2
different
videos?
In the next segment, not in my future ones.
Hang on, but if it's in the studio, can't I just play it from the studio?
Yeah, but it's playing through my computer. That's the problem. And because my upload speeds are so bad, like I was gonna. Oh, you know what? Hold on. We might be able to do something with this. Let's see how well this plays.
We are here with Jeff Bezos, the founder of Blue Origin, also, of course, the founder of Amazon. It is great to see you. This is remarkable.
How did that play?
That played totally normal.
It plays good because I uploaded it into the pre-upload thing, not into this tab, into the sidebar where the intermissions go. That's why.
Okay, I see.
The only problem with that is we can't like stop and start, and I have to kind of like,
I mean, it's up to you. I'll do whatever you want me to do.
All right, go for that second video there. Go for the second one there.
Hang on, I'm taking out my videos.
All right, cool. Yeah, just pull both of those videos actually up in tabs, and then we'll see if we can make this happen.
Well, hang on. You want me to do them as a screen share, or you want me to put them in the studio? I can put them in the studio.
Oh, if you download
that's
them,
gonna be easier.
That's going to be way easier.
Download them. I'll just put them in the studio.
That's a plan. Download them and put them in the studio. All right, now we're in business. Now that'll work. Now I like that.
All right.
All right. Cool.
All right. So you read chats. I'll do that.
All right. So download both of those and then re-upload them. All right. See, now we're in business. Where there's a will, there's a way. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Everything's hypocrisy. And so you don't comply. Thank you, Vianticus. Appreciate that very much. My audio's coming through okay, right? Because you're not telling me
your audio's fine.
What?
Your audio's fine.
All right, cool.
Like this is what we call a half Cambodia.
A half Cambodia, yeah. Oh, George says, me and my big fucking mouth. Yeah, Russ is back. Everything will be normal now. Right. Tuesday show is later. Fuck you, pay me. Start an hour late. Fuck you, pay me. Now I just paid more. That's right. Thank you, oh, George. A couple of treat things, says Abiding. Iran needs to decapitate Kuwait, Bahrain, and that pygmy thing UAE. That's no more than a glorified Israeli crew. And no business with and do business with whatever's left. Thanks, Butchie. Thanks, Abiding. Devour says antidote for helplessness, AES defense in Mali, Bolivian People's Revolt revolutions of 1848. Thank you, Devour. Me shoot skeet. Thanks for the $3 super sticker. Appreciate that. Never use a router past IPv4. See, I don't know what that means. But yeah, no, they tried to tell me I need a new router, these people. After an hour on the phone, they try and tell me the problem is the router. Yeah. No, the problem, that makes total sense. The router just shit the bed as there was a countywide internet outage. Bronx
It's CNBC and then Waters, right?
You got it. Yep, that's it. Too late for Cuba. Instead of sending doctors on humanitarian missions, they should have put all resources into building a nuclear program. Yeah, see, this is why people invest in defense, I guess. Because if you don't, then even if you build a healthcare system, some other piece of shit country can just come and blow you off the map. Vienticus Prime, everything's a scam, everything's a lie, everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. Oh, what happened here? What happened here? Did I fuck this up? Yeah, I fucked this up too. Everything's going to shit today. All right, Kira Gina, thanks for the $1. Appreciate that. Kira Gina says, Ed Gallrein, he's got electrolytes. There you go. Satanica says, love from Bahrain. How do I get my students to stop cheating on tests? Feels like I'm teaching at Trump University right now. You know, Satanica, I love you, and I really value your patronage and your support for the show. But I would never, ever advise an educator on how to stop their students from cheating on tests. I support students cheating on tests, 100%. So I'm not going to rat out students, and I'm not going to help you crack down on that.
All right, so do me a favor. Take out your videos.
All right. You know, they shouldn't have to take these tests in the first place. You know, I think these tests are ridiculous. And so if they want to cheat on them, to me, that's their right. To me, you know, it's up to you to figure out how to stop them. I wrote an op-ed.
Believe in education.
No, I wrote an op-ed, actually, to my college newspaper, encouraging students to cheat on their final exams. Needless to say, they did not print it.
I can't believe you didn't get your degree.
No, that one never made it. They didn't take that one. They actually didn't take it. But yeah, because you know what they were doing? They were banning baseball caps in final exam time because, you know, the brim of your cap comes down so they can't see your eyes. So you can, you know, look at the person's test next to you. And I said, you know, you should wear them anyway. You should wear them anyway. Make them kick you out. I was a real rebel back then. But yeah, that never saw the light of day. So I don't think anybody ever read that. But thank you for the question, Satanica. Sorry, I cannot help you. Maybe Russell is a more ethical man. Do you have any advice as to how to stop our students from cheating on tests?
How to stop them from cheating on tests?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. How are they cheating?
Are they copying off each other's papers?
Yeah.
Like, I don't even understand what the point of any of this is now. Like, now you can just, anything you don't know, you can just ask AI anyway, and they'll give you something in 3 seconds.
Aren't they developing like software that can figure out if something was written by AI? Like that's in terms of student papers, that's where I really see a problem.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of people in a room taking a test. I mean, what's changed? Like it's
right. Yeah, exactly. All right, Russell, I got one more video for you here that I'm gonna load into the private chat. This is in the B part of this segment, so that'll be coming up. That's the third one. Thank you. See, trying to make this happen for you guys. See, we go to extra mile for this audience. If Massie runs for president in 2028, he'll have everyone under 60 voting for him. I mean, look, I do think, you know, he kind of does hit a sweet spot in terms of like where a lot of like independents are. But, you know, look, I say that I'm a broken record on this. He was very popular in his district and they got him out. You know, he ran unopposed and they forced him out. So, you know, you got a real problem here with the influence of this money. I mean, it's really just kind of pathetic, but it's true. Mark Puglisi says, haha, takes its orders from Rome. It really is anti-Catholic. That's right. Now, these people
it is the seat of government, though.
It is the seat of government. That's right.
Might have been a bad example. Maybe I should have said Paris.
Paris. Well, isn't Paris the seat of government? Isn't Paris the capital of France?
Well, it's the seat of government, but it's not also the seat of Catholicism.
Oh, that's right. Because Rome, you have the Vatican. Right. Got it. Okay. Now I get it. Trump postponed signing of AI executive order giving government greater oversight over AI industry, saying he doesn't want to slow the U.S. down in the AI race. All right, interesting. Postpone signing of AI giving government greater. Oh, well, I didn't even think he was thinking about that. Maybe I missed that. But thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. You need to watch Glenn Christophe Clay Travis on Piers Morgan. All righty. I know there was another Piers. Wasn't Tim Dillon just on Piers Morgan? I think, or not. LOL. We are all. It's okay. Thanks for the recommendation. Cha Cha Daddy. The absentee ballots in Kentucky were promised to little Hitler mustache man Gallrein 3,000 years ago. Any advice on staying sane while empire collapses? Yeah, go out and build nice things with people. You know, that's what I would say. Get involved. Yeah. Community work.
Treat it like you have a view on the restaurant at the end of the universe.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
You're just watching it all end.
Watch it all end.
Enjoy. Order a mimosa.
Norman Podhoretz is unfortunately still with us. Norman Podhoretz is unfortunately still with us. Norm Finkelstein. French Laundry says you guys have to show Ed's campaign event when he won. Utterly bizarre. No one is there. Yeah, we included it in the piece there for sure. Okay. All right. Let's move on here. Okay, so you got. All right. Boom.
I got all your videos. So
got it all there.
You just tell me when you want them.
Well, I can do it.
With Jeff
you
Bezos,
can't.
the founder.
Yeah, I can control it.
So you're good.
All right, we got it now. I've hijacked the system. We've hijacked the system. All right, folks. So let's take a look at a CNBC interview with one Jeff Bezos. Look at that beautiful wide shot. Look at that big factory with all these human workers needed to make the shit there, make the stuff there, I should say, for the YouTube clip since we're in the first 30 seconds. So here's Jeff Bezos basically saying we don't have a revenue problem in this country. We have a spending problem. So we're going to play some of this, and then we will play a little bit more of it in just a moment. But he's got some ideas for how to fix the economy that, don't involve pointing any fingers at, people, for example, like him. So let's take a look at Jeff Bezos here.
With Jeff Bezos, the founder of Blue Origin, also, of course, the founder of Amazon. It is great to see you. This is remarkable, by the way, just the scale of it.
Blue Origin, they're building a top rocket. That's what it was.
Of all the people that we could talk to about everything that's going on in the country right now, in the economy, AI, jobs, space, we want to talk to you. And there is so much to talk about. We're going to touch on that, policy, politics, and so much more. But one of the topics that I thought we should talk about, and maybe even start with, is these days it feels almost impossible to pick up a newspaper without reading a headline about wealth in America, about the billionaire class, about wealth inequality and policy and everything else. And it's taken a uniquely critical turn, I think. And I'm so curious, before we even get into everything else, what you think about that right now.
Well, first of all, Andrew, I'm glad you're asking the question. I think it's a really important topic, and I think it's an important one to discuss because I see the same thing you do. You see it in a bunch of headlines, you see it in a bunch of places, and I have been thinking about what is driving this? Because it does seem different from 10 years ago, and I think what's going on is that it's kind of a tale of two economies. So you have a bunch of people in this country who are doing really well.
Yeah.
But you also have a bunch of people in this country who
Very
are struggling.
insightful.
Right.
Struggling to pay rent, groceries. And so
who told you?
What's happening here is,
did he grow like a 5 o'clock shadow for this interview so he appears more like working man? Like, I think so.
Oh, he's definitely, well, because it's not just that, he's making the rounds. Like, this is definitely a makeover. Like, he probably actually had a consultant who told him to do it.
Listen, don't grow a beard that's going to look like a put on. You grow scruff. You make it look like, I've been out in the sun all day. I've been outdoors all day, working with my hands all day. I didn't realize I had to shave. That's the
you got to look a little less like something that their wife shoved up their pussy last night.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
politicians are using the kind of age-old technique. So there's this tale of two economies.
Why don't you give this guy a PBR?
They're using this age-old technique of, picking a villain and pointing fingers. But the problem is that doesn't solve anything.
Fuck that shit.
And so, if you want to help the group of people who are struggling, you have to figure out real root causes and solutions, and that takes skill. It's like the way if we have a problem at Amazon, the way we would fix it is we would go in and we'd do the 5 whys and we'd try to get to a root cause. We'd try to find a root fix. And then when we fix it at the root,
we would have to line everything with lead so
forever.
Superman couldn't see what we were doing.
And what we don't do, because it doesn't work, is just point fingers and blame people. It might feel good for 10 seconds, but doesn't accomplish anything.
Okay, but here's the thing. You do have a problem at Amazon. You've had a problem at Amazon for many, many years now, which is that your employees do not get paid what they need to live. That's why we've seen story after story, Amazon workers sleeping in their car because they work too far from home, and you add all the gas money and it doesn't even make sense to go home, or they can't afford a home. Now, what are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look at some numbers here. So the average salary per hour at an Amazon warehouse is $18.96. So if you work at an Amazon warehouse 40 hours a week, you're making less than $40,000 a year. And if you know the first thing about Amazon warehouse work, you know that you cannot supplement another job with Amazon warehouse work. It's extraordinarily taxing, extraordinarily physical. You don't work, 10-hour shift at an Amazon warehouse and then go jump behind a bar that night to bartend. Like, this is extraordinarily physical work. I'm sure there are some people who do it. I'm sure there are some people who work themselves almost to death because they have to. But that is a situation that these Amazon workers are in, with an average salary of $19 an hour. And if you look, here's just a sampling job openings at Amazon. Warehouse associate, $18.50 to $20.50 an hour. Warehouse associate, Lebanon, Tennessee, $20.25 to $21.50 an hour. When you look at maps of what it takes to live a life of basic comfort, where you can maybe put aside a few bucks a month to save for a better future, the cheapest state in the country needs $78,000 a year in order to do that. Otherwise, you're going to be scraping by, living paycheck to paycheck with no prospects for any kind of advancement. Advancement being the key word here. Some people have to slum it for a few years at entry-level positions. You do that at UPS, and UPS is far from a utopia. But UPS has a very strong union, which means there's very strong opportunity for advancement, which means you can actually grow your salary and your wages. Not really the case at Amazon, because on top of this, they kind of gigify a lot of their jobs, which we'll get into in a moment. But here, as you can see, less than $20 an hour, just about all these jobs here. Packers, $19.21. Dock worker, $16.34. Fulfillment associate, $18.34. There's simply no way to live on this right now. No way to live on this. And like I said, this is not the kind of work that you can easily supplement with a second job. Now, that's in the warehouses. What about the drivers? What about the people driving the vans and the trucks, or in some cases, their personal vehicles? They have that Amazon Flex fleet where people use their own cars, right? Sort of the Uberification of Amazon delivery. Well, this is a study here. Amazon drives low wages, the unraveling of workplace protections for delivery drivers. So in the vans, lower wages. Average pay for Amazon delivery drivers is $19 an hour compared to $35 an hour for unionized UPS drivers. No upward mobility. UPS drivers see wages rise sharply with seniority, reaching nearly $40 an hour after 10 years. Amazon driver pay starts lower and doesn't increase.
Oh, wow. You don't even get raises over time.
Well, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, because even though they're wearing Amazon vests and even though they're driving Amazon vans, those fleets are actually not owned by Amazon. They actually outsource their delivery logistics to third parties. And so it's not up to Amazon to pay you more. But yeah, UPS drivers, $30 to $40 an hour. strong overtime too, because a lot of times you end up going over 8 hours a day, so you get time and a half at a certain point. There are people. My parents used to ship jewelry. They made glass beaded jewelry. They sold it wholesale out of their house for years and years and years. For 15 years, we had the same UPS driver come to our house to pick up the jewelry because that was what he did, because he made a living at that. Because every year he got a raise, right? Wasn't the different guys every day. It was the same guy on the same route for decades, because he got paid well enough to like raise a family.
Like a mailman.
Right. Exactly. Greater hardship. 26% of Amazon drivers faced hunger in the past month. Okay, so Mr. Bezos, when we have a problem at Amazon, we come together and solve it. Well, what about that problem? What about the problem that 26% of your drivers face hunger?
Well, that's not a problem. It's not a bug. It's a feature.
That's not a problem. That's right. 33% couldn't cover their utility bills, much higher than at UPS or FedEx. So think about that. A quarter of your driving fleet is either food insecure or electricity insecure. That's not a problem. Unstable jobs. Nearly half of Amazon drivers have less than a year of experience. Stable long-term employment is rare. Fewer benefits. Amazon drivers are much less likely to have access to employer-sponsored benefits like paid sick leave or paid vacation. Intense surveillance. 60% of Amazon drivers and warehouse workers report being monitored for speed and performance by technology, far exceeding rates at UPS and FedEx. Now, to be fair, I loaded UPS trucks for a few months. I found more than one piss bottle in the back of a truck loading those trucks. Being a UPS driver is not easy work, okay? They are not treated like princes over there. It's hard. But they're not wearing fucking bracelets or whatever they got over at Amazon, tracking their every move.
They don't have shock collars.
They don't have shock collars, and they're getting paid, and they get benefits. Yeah, this work is all backbreaking and difficult. None of it is easy. But when you have a union, you have certain protections, certain benefits, certain wage guarantees, and certain opportunities for advancement. As independent contractors, Amazon flex workers are not covered by basic labor standards like minimum wage or overtime. See, they don't get overtime because they're contractors. Just like as a DoorDash driver, you don't get overtime. You could sit in the car for 6 hours. You sit in the car for 14 hours. Doesn't matter. You don't get overtime. That's huge. That's massive. You know, during the holiday season when Amazon trucks are rolling in at 9 o'clock at night to drop your shit off, and you think, wow, they must be making overtime today. No, they're not. The UPS guys are. The UPS guys get time and a half for that overtime. The Amazon drivers do not. That's another problem that I think Jeff Bezos should maybe look into. Mr. A, when we see a problem at Amazon, we solve it. Well, not these kinds of problems. Workers' compensation. So you drop something on your foot on the job. If you're an Amazon driver, guess what? You go to the hospital, you go to the ER, you're on your own, right? You drop something on your foot, you know, work at a UPS gig, that's workers' comp kicks in. They cover you. Not as an Amazon flex worker. Unemployment insurance have limited protection against discrimination or harassment. Union divide. UPS's union model provides job security and upward mobility, while Amazon's subcontracted DSP drivers face major obstacles to joining unions, while flex drivers are denied the right to unionize entirely. So you're talking about the difference between the vans and the people using the personal vehicles. Amazon flex drivers, just so everybody is clear, they are classified as independent contractors. They use their own personal vehicles to deliver packages, choose their own schedules using the Flex app, and receive a 1099. The DSP drivers, those are the ones who operate the Amazon vans. They're employees, but they're not Amazon employees. They work for third-party companies known as delivery service partners. These drivers have set schedules, wear uniforms, and receive W-2 tax forms, but they're not actually employed by Amazon. And so their wages are lower because they work for a smaller company, right? And so Amazon can't control what they're paid. And so that is how they outsource that work. That is how they make that work as cheap as they do. All right, let's go back to Jeff Bezos here.
So what could you?
Now we're going to see. Okay, what are his ideas? What are his ideas?
Like I started. Do you have a plan? I have some ideas. I have some places to start. So I started thinking about this and doing some research, a nurse in Queens who makes $75,000 a year pays more than $12,000 a year in taxes. Does that really make sense? So people talk about, making the tax system more progressive. How about we start by having the nurse in Queens not pay taxes?
Oh, I wonder why he picked Queens.
At all? Why is some?
Wonder why I picked Queens. I also wonder why I picked nurses. I saw a nurses union blogger write about this, and she made a point. The examples he uses here are nurses and teachers. He doesn't say warehouse worker. He doesn't say delivery driver, right? Because he doesn't want to name as an example, people who work for me. He wants to kind of keep this as abstract as he possibly can here.
Why is a nurse in Queens who makes $75,000 a year paying more than $1,000 a month in taxes? That's $1,000 a month that could help with rent or groceries or anything. And so, and by the way, do you know what that all adds up to? The bottom half of income earners in this country pay only 3% of the taxes. It's only 3%. We can find 3%. So we don't have, it's a small amount of money for the government, that. And really, and the more I thought about it, to me, it's kind of absurd that we're doing this. We shouldn't be asking this nurse in Queens to send money to Washington. They should be sending her an apology. It really makes no sense.
Okay, they should be sending her an apology for the failures of economic policy that have her where she is. So here is the growth rate of income inequality, over the past 50, 60 years, going back 1963, 1983, 2013. What do you notice? You notice, the bottom half pay 3% in taxes. Bottom half of the country really has not seen much of a raise at all. Look at where that raise has gone. Look at how much more unequal the country has become. That is a function of capitalism, pure and simple. Capitalism is about exponentially increasing your net worth using the capital that you already have. It's like that old riddle where somebody says, okay, if I hire you to work every day for a month, and I decide at the beginning of the month I'm going to pay you $10 million for that month's work, or I can pay you a penny on the first day and double your wage for every day after that, which would you take? The temptation is to say 10 million, but you actually end up making a lot more if you take the penny on the first day. By the 31st day of the month, you'll make over $10 million for that day alone, on top of everything else that you got paid. So capitalism kind of works like that, except you don't work for the exponential increases in your net worth. You simply invest capital that you already have and use that to accrue more capital. Now, of course, you don't double your money every day. But that's the same principle. And that's why this whole talk about wages has become somewhat obsolete, as much as it sounds crazy to say that. I think it's probably too late to even be talking about this because there's been too much momentum in this direction. That snowball has become too big. This was stuff that, certain people in America were warning about, say, 10 years ago. When a certain candidate was raising these issues and we were called racists and sexist for thinking he had some kind of a point. Well, here you are now to the point where they've already accumulated so much wealth. It's difficult to imagine, even if you doubled the wages, how that would make a real dent in this inequality and how that would raise people's standards of living at this point. Because look at this graph. Look at this graph. Another way to think of it, if you're a wage earner, you earn a certain wage, a fixed amount. They raise your wage. I mean, literally, when I was a kid, they'd talk about you get a 50-cent increase every year. If you work retail, when you make $8 an hour this year, next year we'll increase it to $8.50 an hour. That's the rate at which you grow your net worth. The rate at which the capitalist class grows their net worth is nearly exponential because they're using money they already have in order to gain more. That is the design of the capitalist system, not to earn money for a wage, not to trade your time for an hourly wage, but to use your money to create more money for yourself. This is like if you're playing a basketball game and team A scores points the way you score points in basketball. You get 2 points per shot. If it's past the 3-point line, you get 3 points per shot. You're playing a game against the team who gets 2 points on their first basket, but then the point value of each basket goes up with every basket that they make. So their first basket is 2, their second basket is 3, their third basket is 4, their fourth basket is 5, their fifth basket is 6, and yada. It is absolutely impossible for Team A to win that game because they're playing a different game. Capitalism is a different game. It's a different economy. It is not exchanging your labor for money. That is what people who think they're capitalists are obsessed with, and that's why they hate socialism, because they think socialism is lazy people getting money for nothing. No, socialism is workers owning the means of production so that workers get to grow their wealth as if they were capitalists. Whereas under capitalism, a few people get to grow their wealth and they pay you garbage your entire life to keep working for them, essentially for free. It's essentially slavery. That's why they call it wage slavery, because it's not literally slavery in the sense that you are in bondage and you have absolutely no life whatsoever. But relative to the way they live, yeah, you're basically slaves, and that's how they think of you. And that's why Jeff Bezos says when we have a problem at Amazon, we get together and fix it. His idea of a problem is a person doesn't get their condoms on time. And so they have to figure out how to streamline that. His idea of a problem is not the fact that 1 in 4 of his workers can't eat. He doesn't see that as a problem because he sees you as a slave. Now, he's absolutely right that middle-income people should not be paying income tax. I don't think somebody making 80 grand a year should pay whatever it is, 15 grand a year in taxes. I think that's insane. I think they should pay 0, and I think he should pay more. Like, look at this gap. Like, what you're talking about is so ridiculous. None of this is sufficient to slow this momentum at this point. Honestly, I hate to be the black pillar here. You know that I hate to play that role. But,
Yes.
When we said that those Bernie campaigns, as flawed a man as he was, and obviously we know now a million reasons why, he was pointing to a very specific problem that was the root of everything, which was this gap between the rich and poor. If you don't close that, you're going to lose not only democracy, you're going to lose any means by which workers can control the system. Because now even strikes for better wages, what does that produce? What are you even talking about? Like, when we said that was the last chance to turn things around before it all went to shit, I think it was. And I think when your last chance fails, it means you failed. And that's a very bleak place to be. But that's where we're at now. That's where we're at right now. Where you got, this guy now saying, well, yeah, we just need to, not tax middle-income workers. No. What you need is a general strike to shut things down and entirely change the way this economic system works. I don't even think at this point asking for higher wages is really going to do much. How do people who work for wages live? Like, how do you build any kind of life if you're working for somebody else at this point? You can't. You can't. And that's why they have such disdain for workers. That's why they tell you, you know what? You can go out there and build a business, because what underlies that is the idea that if you don't take a chance and build something on your own, you don't deserve to live a good life. Right. If you're a working person who punches a clock for a living, you're a putz. You're a slave in their eyes. That is how they view you. No question about it.
Yeah, you would never get an interviewer on CNBC who would raise the question, because he's saying, you could increase my taxes, not really going to make a dent. It would be very interesting to see what one of these guys would say if they actually had an interviewer who would suggest, well, part of the reason that we once had an enormous tax rate and also a very large estate tax was to make sure that nobody accumulated enough capital to affect the political system. So don't you think the fact that you own the Washington Post is an example of why you shouldn't have the amount of money that you have?
Right.
That would be very forget about taxes and paying for roads, like just what it does to the whole political system. You look at all this, and these are just basic questions that you're never meant to get to. You're never meant to ask. You're supposed to just keep shadow boxing with nonsense. Who's an economy for? Like, what's the purpose of an economy? What is the purpose of it? If the purpose of it is to provide a certain amount of prosperity to the people living in society, well, then this is a failed system because it's not doing that. We have one of the highest, in fact, I think we have the highest infant mortality rate in the Western world. No other country has what we have in terms of medical bankruptcies. It was amazing to me when I would post some of these China videos. You get people talking about overworked factory workers in China.
Right.
How do you even say something like that as an American? If you're saying that if that's the case, it says the system failed, well, then our system failed, right? Like how could you offer that as an American as like an example of how our system works better? Like you look at these fucking Amazon workers. Nah, man. I mean, this is what we've been saying for a while, and you can see it very clearly in those numbers. My heart really goes out to anybody who's living like that. It's a horrible condition to put human beings in. It's a waste of human potential. It's a waste of humanity. You've really gone back to 19th century conditions for a lot of people and a lot of parts of the economy where their condition is so bad, there's no getting ahead. There's no potential. And, when people point at, entrepreneurs who got rich, most of them started rich. Bezos comes from wealth. Gates comes from wealth. It's very rare that you're going to find one of these guys who didn't at least grow up upper middle class. Very, very rare. I can see it all the time. We get it. We get it with a lot of people who, the trolls in the comments. It's funny how people always assume that if you're not down in the shit, you must come from privilege. It's funny. These same people will say they believe in America, but clearly you don't believe that people can rise above where they come from, because why would you assume that me and Keaton came from money? Like, why do you assume that? We get a lot of that. Why don't you talk to some blue collar people? I grew up on welfare. Why do you assume that I didn't? Because I'm not there now. So that America does not allow most people to get ahead. That, or you wouldn't make that assumption. You would not assume that. Like deep down, even though you might argue this system is working, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's revealed in those ways that when you see somebody who's not down in the shit, you assume they must not have come from the shit. If you really think America works, why would you believe that? Why would you think that?
Of course. I mean, I grew up middle class. My parents were street peddlers who started selling their beaded jewelry wholesale. They were hippies. They were Haight-Ashbury people. And the reason I grew up middle class is because they, not to discount their hard work. My mother worked very, very hard. So did my dad. But,
they sold drugs on the side.
They did not sell drugs on the side. No, look,
they hid drugs inside the jewelry.
Yeah, their prime earning years happened to coincide with the '90s bowl. When people had money and you could make a middle class living doing that. And that so that's why I grew up middle class, and I grew up luckier than many, but not as lucky as I mean, we were center of the bell curve, middle class, and I did this gig work, and I remember thinking to myself in the car many times, there is no future in this whatsoever. I'm going to have to, at the time I was more into writing than, this was just kind of a hobby. Like, I'm going to have to write my way out. Like, I'm going to just have to figure out a way to go into business for myself with what I can do. I can't do much. I'm not really good with my hands. I'm a klutz. So what the fuck am I going to do? And we fell ass backwards into this, thankfully. But thankfully I don't do that anymore. But for many years, it seemed like just a very, very bleak sort of dead end where, you earn and you pay the rent and that's it. And that's how, people eke out some sort of living, in the sense that it literally sustains them, but you can't build anything, and for a lot of people it can't sustain you, and it's a very hopeless dynamic. And for some person, I noticed it in the comments, So capitalism needs to be restrained, but communism doesn't work. Look, I'm not a doctrinaire communist. I'm not diehard into any theory, but I just want you to understand capitalism by definition is unrestrained. Okay. Capitalism allows for this to continue into infinity, where that top line goes off the charts and the bottom line stays relatively where it is, because the basis of capitalism is to use what you have to create more of it. So if people have a lot compared to the people who have a little, they're always going to be able to gain more and more and more at an exponential rate, while the worker bees get left behind. That is inevitable. So if you are for restraining that, then what you are for is not capitalism. You are for regulated markets. That's what you are for. Capitalism is, by definition, this very dynamic. Restraints on capitalism are anti-capitalist measures that are applied to regulated marketplaces. Marketplaces are not only good, they're necessary, they're essential. People need markets. People can't grow everything they need in their life in the fucking ground. They need to be able to take some money and give it to somebody who made it and get something in return for that. That is not capitalism. Those are marketplaces which transcend capitalism. They predated capitalism. They will survive long after capitalism is gone. Capitalism is this ever expanding dynamic of wealth inequality. That is what it inevitably leads to. You can have marketplaces, you can have enterprise, you can have growth to a certain extent, but the regulation of capitalism is anti-capitalist, which means you are not for this if you believe in some kind of regulation. And capitalism is the accumulation of wealth at an exponential rate using wealth you already have. That's why it's called capitalism, because capital is the mechanism by which it works. Labor is not a part of the equation. Labor is a cost. Labor is a hindrance, right? That's why an economic system centered on labor is one that's going to be more equal and more prosperous for the average person. Doesn't mean you eliminate markets. Doesn't mean you eliminate enterprise. They got enterprise in China. Look at China, right?
China, well, if anything, look, you walk around certain areas of China. I mean, you could be on Rodeo Drive or Fifth Avenue. I mean, they have all the brands, they have all the shops, a lot of dining out, a lot of consumerism, but they do not allow the banks, they do not allow the businesses, they do not allow the corporations to dictate government policy. And they also reserve to themselves the power to tell those banks and those corporations where to invest and what to invest. So, for example, I was watching something yesterday. I might send this to you because you know upstate better than I do. You might find it interesting. They were talking about the 10 upstate towns that are depopulating most quickly. They had like Utica, and Waterford, and all these towns up there. And, at least 2 of these towns were because they took the prison out. The prison was like a main industry in the town, and they closed the prison. And you just see, these people, the mayor saying, yeah, it's going to be rough, and then everybody has to sell their house. In China, that would not happen, because the government would have a policy for how you're going to take care of these people and what industry you're going to provide them. And that might extend to telling a company that is a, business, okay, you're going to do this there. In the end, it is a government whose mandate is to govern on behalf of what they see, whether you agree or not, as to the benefit of the whole of the society. And I can tell you, having been there, you can see the difference. I had some people bring up when I posted favorably about the Three Gorges Dam, about how many villages were displaced, and that's true. But, I saw it with my own eyes. They didn't just displace these people. They built them entirely new houses. Now, you want to say they did a lot of this without regard for history. You can make that argument. Like, you don't actually see a lot of villages that are in their original state in China, because what they did in a lot of cases is they went in and they said these places are falling apart, we're going to build you brand new modern housing and move you into it. And they didn't preserve. They just got rid of that. They just got rid of the old places. You know, you'll very often see, you'll see themed old village like shopping areas where they're designed to look like classic Chinese villages, but they're, you know, they're brand new. Just as like a theme, as like a shopping theme. But you know, you want to say something's lost there, okay. I would say it's better than living in Flint, right? Like basically they took every place like that and demolished it and built a brand new place. That's what they did with the Three Gorges. They didn't leave anyone homeless. They built them all new shit. That's how it runs there. That's where, you know, anyone who says, well, China's capitalist, no, it's not. It has markets. Which, as Keaton's pointing out, is not the same thing as it being capitalist. Ultimately, you have a government that strictly regulates the economy and allows a certain amount of the so-called animal spirits that you get from having markets. You know, this is a mistake of the Soviets, I would argue, that the Chinese looked at and eventually corrected for, beginning with Deng Xiaoping. And overall, honestly, from everything I saw, for the average person, not for me, honestly, I'm a shit talker. I wouldn't do well in a place like that. I talk too much shit. For the average person, it's much better. That's a much better society. For the average person's mental, emotional, and financial health. I talked to a fucking guy. He came back from Canada because his economic condition was so much better in China. You know, people bring up what the average wage is in China. Yeah, but what's the average cost? For him, the cost versus the wage, his condition was much better there than in Canada.
Right. All right. Why don't you take some chats, and I'm going to look through my next segment, and I'm just going to send you the videos that like we need. Because if I send you all of them, we'll be here.
All right. Well, here's the question: who's up next?
You're up next. But if you take the chat,
because I got to load in some of my videos that I have.
Oh, all right. So I'll take some of these now. All right. Sounds good. All right. So I'll do this now, and then I'll find mine while you're doing yours. I want a podcast with John Podhoretz and Rabbi Shmuley. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Kid. Appreciate that. For those joining late, there is a system-wide internet outage in my area. That's why I'm pixelated. That post of Fed Turd saying this is so good, in case anything was confused, he was talking about this dick in his ass. I don't even pay attention. Cat Turd has like disappeared from my feed. I don't know why. I like never see Cat Turd shit. Like I see the other influencers, but I don't see Cat Turd anymore. I don't know. They show me Benny Johnson. They show me Gunther Eagleman. I guess they think I'm gay. Maybe that's what the algorithm thinks I'm gay. Yeah, so they send me the gay ones. Yeah. I don't know. Although I don't see Jack Posobiec anymore. And he, to me, gives off those vibes.
Yeah.
Not saying he is, but he gives off those vibes to me,
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, no. But I don't get him anymore either. I get Benny Johnson and Gunther Eagleman. So I don't know. A lot of the MAGA influencers have fallen out of my feed. Genitilis, you actually have to pull back the outer labia to reveal the full vagina. Ha, good. Thank you for that. RBGH fam. Oh my God. Yeah, this is brutal. Now even StreamYard is getting feisty with me. This is horrible. Noticing this is anti-Semitic. Miriam is a dual citizen born in Israel who flew a traitor of the U.S. back to Israel after prison sentence. He was greeted at the Tel Aviv airport by Bibi. I believe it. Yeah, this is a total mess back here. All right.
All right.
Keep them going.
I have my videos on.
All right. 3-1 Ember says Benny's colon is a war zone like politics. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. You want to take over there after 3-1 Ember? Darius King?
Okay. Hang on.
Because I can barely.
There's banners, right?
I can barely work the banners now. That's how bad this internet has become.
Okay. All right. So what are we up to?
Darius King, 2488 for $5.
Got it.
Okay.
Darius King, this loss has everything to do with the Kentucky voters. They literally set out their own mouths. I voted for the other guy because Trump told me to.
I agree. I said it. I said, ultimately, this is on you. Yes, it's a corrupt system, but You literally voted for Thomas Massie unanimously 2 years ago. Like, if you're not smart enough to see through that, then I can't help you.
Yeah, this is why I miss Dan Rather, because Dan Rather would come on and he'd say, how much of a factor was the cousin fucking?
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. Like, this was not.
Will somebody just say it?
Yeah, like, this was not a tough call in any sense of the word. You voted unanimously for Thomas Massie last time.
Yeah. All right, Virtuoso, my man, with all due respect to Kim Iverson, but the Crown Heights riot of 1991 was the worst thing to ever happen to Jews in America. I think maybe Barbara Streisand. The worst thing. Maybe Yentl was the worst thing to happen to Jews in America. Matt from Wisconsin. The governor's race here is getting interesting. Anti-Zio socialist candidate Francesca Hong is picking up steam in the Dem primary. Yeah, well, wasn't there AIPAC took a hit with in Pennsylvania? A guy, anti-Zionist socialist guy, Rob.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all gravy for them. Nocturnal human. Democracy doesn't work without an educated and knowledgeable population. You're absolutely right, and that's why they've made sure not to have one.
Yeah.
Mark Pugliese. Alex Brainer said no vote could flip that suddenly. Maybe. Hey man, I covered it. I can't vouch for those facts, but I covered them. Jolly Man Big Boy. I think there's a strategy to having right wingers be good on Israel. They lead the coalition, and at the 11th hour, a culture war erupts to divide it. Maybe. I mean, as we'll see in the next segment, Democrats aren't any better, not in their leadership class. Courtesy Flush. Massie is pro-individual, not if you're a woman, pro-life. Is he pro-life?
I would imagine he is, yes.
Yeah, I don't see how that fits with libertarianism.
Yeah, I don't know for sure, but
It should be up to the woman, right?
Should be
Yeah, he must be, because they would have attacked him.
They would have attacked him there.
Red Dog, we desperately need a purple presidential ticket. Yeah, no, we don't. Not from these parties, we don't. You're not going to get anything out of these parties that you'd want to vote for. P. Walker, you have to know enough to make sure what the AI feeds you is even remotely accurate. What I will usually do if I use an AI source is they do put the sources down the side. I'll check. I do check the articles inside. And a lot of times I wind up not even using the AI summary. I just use the article they got it from.
Right.
Jolly Man Big Boy, how to get kids to stop cheating. Mass surveillance.
Yeah, drone them.
Drone strikes.
Yeah.
Yes. Area Hermit Woman. Who do you dudes want to run in 2028? Russell Dobular and Keaton Weiss.
Yeah. Yeah. Who do we want to run?
That's the ticket.
Yo, man, I've been wanting fucking Jesse Ventura to run forever, but he's not going to do it. That guy in his prime, I mean, he's probably lost it. I mean, he's lost his step now.
He's pretty old now, man.
But he had a chance. Like, that guy could have been a force.
Yeah, I literally don't know anybody in the country that I could get excited about supporting. Now, I don't know everyone in the country. I'm sure there are people out there, if they were to materialize, I might feel enthusiastic about, but there's nobody on the national stage I would name and say, yeah, I would back that guy. Not even Dave Chappelle, since that Saudi Arabia shit. He lost my vote. Eric Rousseau, you watched Cracked Hunter on Candace today. Hope she asked him about Brigitte's package inside.
Huh.
I have not seen it. Did that drop yet?
Is it out
It's
now?
gonna drop tonight, probably,
Tonight, I
right?
thought, yeah.
Devour. Didi showed Baal Rain's victory celebration after the smoked salmon. Oh, shame. That's a good one. Devour. Didi. Did you throw that up twice? Because I think I deleted that the first time. Okay. Ron Contra. Like that. Long-time listener, first-time caller. The revolution's got to have style. Make art from the heart, write how you feel, live how you want the future to live. Yeah, man, I am planning on doing a show in the fall. I just got up on a ladder and pulled a bunch of my plays down from the top shelf there. So I'm working on it. Working on it. All right. Do we want to move on?
Yeah, go ahead. Move on.
Okie doke. All right. Let me assume the position. There we go. All right. So, hey, there is a... Whoop. Hang on. There is a new sheriff in town, down in San Antonio, and the Democrats are not happy about it. Democrats scrambled to contain their Maureen Galindo problem. See, I don't see it as a problem myself. House Democrats are in a mad dash to isolate Texas Democratic congressional candidate Maureen Galindo, who has said she wants to turn an ICE facility into a prison for American Zionists. Why it matters.
God forbid someone have a little spunk around here, you know?
Exactly. God forbid somebody actually try to offer solutions instead of problems. A mysterious PAC is spending hundreds of thousands to boost Galindo, which Democrats allege is a Republican attempt to ensure the GOP candidate in that district faces a weak opponent in November. Quote, House Republican leadership must immediately cease propping up this anti-Semitic candidacy, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee Chair Susan Delbene, never even heard of her, Senator, you ever heard of her?
Delbene?
Delbene.
No, never heard of Delbene.
Said in a statement Tuesday evening, that's a pretty high-ranking position for somebody that people who do this for a living have never freaking heard of.
Yeah.
Galindo did not respond to multiple requests for comment, with a spokesperson for the Republican-aligned Congressional Leadership Fund declining to say if the GOP is behind PAC spending on her behalf. So, okay, man, I mean, from what I've seen, I'll accept that. There are some shenanigans. There's some shadowy PAC that the metadata traces back to a GOP fundraising site. So, yeah, they're probably throwing money at her. Doesn't mean she's not right. So here's John Levine. Maureen Galindo, a sex therapist who led a Democratic House primary in Texas's 35th district. Hey, man, we get a sex therapist in Congress. Maybe she can coax Penny out of the closet.
That's the unfair advantage. Okay, so now it makes sense. I mean, yes, sex therapists have an advantage. I mean, they have ways of charming people. You know,
exactly. Forcing a
sex
runoff
therapists should
later.
be banned from politics. It's not fair.
They should, especially if they're not native born.
Yeah.
Primary in Texas's 35th district, forcing a runoff later this month, has attacked Jews who own Hollywood as members of the Synagogue of Satan. She didn't say that. And said she won't take Israeli blood money. Fair enough. In a number of psychotic social media posts like this one. All right, so this is the thing, man. So I wasn't sure what I really thought. So I watched quite a lot of her Instagram posts. I mean, basically, she's not saying anything we haven't said on the show a lot. I mean, I don't know. Like her demeanor, it makes her very easy to dismiss. But what she's saying, I don't know, man. I couldn't really find much exception to it. So here's the video he shared.
And how it's possible that because of him, the whole situation in Gaza is as bad as it is right now. And I can't believe I'm saying that. This is stuff that I talk about personally, but never on this platform. But it's time to get in.
Okay, so just to be clear, I didn't go and do the further research to ensure it. But from what I'm getting from a couple of her videos, John Hagee, who runs one of the biggest of those Christian Zionist, to send people on trips to the Holy Land. Let's prop up Israel until Jesus comes back and throws them into the pit of fire kind of things, is based in San Antonio. So she's saying, like, this is actually part of the reason I'm talking about this. It's not irrelevant to San Antonio. This is a nexus of Zionism. What's very interesting about him taking this as kind of anti-Semitic is this particular video he picked is mostly about that. It's really about the Christian Zionists, who, from what I've seen, she talks about at least as much, if not more, because according to what she's saying, if I'm understanding it right, Hagee's organization is based in San Antonio.
Also, while we're paused, if we could just, Trump goes to that fucking guy, the fucking Ozark villain there. What's his name? The El Salvadoran? I forget his name. It's been a long day. The guy with the prisons and all this shit. You know his name.
Which one?
People in the chat know his name. The leader of El Salvador, Bukele.
Oh, Bukele.
He goes to Bukele. He says, these prisons, you got to build some more of them. We're going to need some more of them. We're going to need to send even more people down there. Like, he obviously didn't mean that because they didn't do it. Apparently, they aborted the whole CCOT thing entirely. Do I think? I mean, I don't know. Maybe she's a provocateur. She seems like a bit of a character. Is she like literally saying she wants to imprison people for their beliefs?
Well, we'll get to that.
Into it, apparently. I didn't expect this, but it's time to talk about spiritual warfare. So what does all of this Gaza peace plan, their obsession with peace right now, have to do with San Antonio? On one of my posts about John Hagee, somebody who used to go to Cornerstone Church left this comment. I could never understand his obsession with Israel until I read one of his books. He's so obsessed with the rapture. That's what all of this is about, and wants to see it happen in his lifetime. It's not just John Hagee. This is a thing that evangelicals and Jews in Israel, they want to see the rapture. They want to push the rapture as quick as possible so that they can see this coming of Christ. He's written so many books about it, and it even came out in the movie Left Behind, one with Kirk Cameron in it. This is a way that like all of the Jews who own Hollywood, they use books and movies to create realities. This is all real. It doesn't matter. I always tell my kids, I'm like, it doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. Other people do, and they're using it. And if you're not at least aware of it, then it controls you. John Hagee is insanely upset that the rapture has not happened yet. It's all he wants to talk about is the rapture. What does this have to do with peace 2025? Doesn't matter, again, if you believe in what the Bible says or not. They do. And what they see in the Bible is that when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction will come upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. With all this information as you went, my recommendation is always prayers of protection. And also, in my opinion, is to follow Jesus as a radical who was fighting this church of Satan 2,000 years ago that still exists. He was trying to warn us. He was trying to warn us about these exact same people who worship Satan.
All right. So she did not say synagogue of Satan. She said church of Satan. And almost the entire video was about John Hagee, not about Jews. She mentioned Jews running Hollywood and how they use propaganda. But she's mostly talking really about Christian Zionists there. So now, again, her demeanor, it's very easy to write her off. But, let's take some of what she's talking about here. So who's John Levine? This is very funny that John Levine called her out for suggesting that Zionists, Jews have an inordinate control over the media, because John Levine works for the Washington Free Beacon. Who owns the Washington Free Beacon? Paul Singer. What's the mission of the Paul Singer Foundation? The mission of the Paul Singer Foundation is to support and create innovative and effective organizations and initiatives that strengthen American democracy, the future of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state, and Jewish continuity. You might, if you've been watching the show, this name might ring a bell. He was also one of the 3 major billionaires that donated to defeat Thomas Massie.
Yep. The gay mafia.
The gay mafia. So that's pretty funny that this guy is calling her out as a cuckoo crazy pants for suggesting that Zionist Jews are controlling Hollywood and the media. And hey, man, you needn't look no further than Larry Ellison and his lucky boy son there, David, who he put in charge of his operation there, provided the Paramount merger goes through, and it probably will. They're going to run all this, and that's not to mention that he took over TikTok as well. So I don't know what you call that when the guy who is the largest single private donor to the IDF goes on a scorched earth campaign to take over and control media and social media to make it more favorable to Israel. All I can say about the whole video there that he's using as evidence of her anti-Semitism is, where's the lie? I'm Jewish. I didn't find it anti-Semitic. I found it factual. Here's something else that she put up. ICE is a terrorist organization under DHS based in Tel Aviv, Israel. It's run by Proud Boys and IDF soldiers. They're testing how much we'll accept because this is the blueprint for how they want to control and terrorize us all. We have, in terms of that last part, we've absolutely said that multiple times. Many people have. Chris Hedges has indicated that a lot, that what they do over there, they're going to do to you over here. Many people have said that it's a testing ground. You just haven't seen anybody who might actually win a Democratic primary say anything like this. In terms of what she's saying about ICE and the IDF, that's been reported. That's been reported. Over the past 2 decades, U.S. immigration officials have maintained a close relationship with the Israeli government. This collaboration has included trips ferrying high-level U.S. law enforcement officials around Israel, joint training for immigration officers, and technology transfers that have put sophisticated surveillance capabilities in the hands of immigration and customs enforcement. The result has been an increasing mind meld between security agencies in Israel and the United States. I mean, you know, she's spitting facts, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, she's not saying anything that does not have any grounding in reported out facts. In terms of the Proud Boys, we know that with a lot of the coded language they've used in recruiting ICE, they have very consciously gone after white supremacist leaning recruits. And you can see the result of it, certainly in the quality of the people that they've gotten. That's exactly what they wanted. You basically set a bunch of Nazis loose on the American public. So Michael Carlos here, it was really, for whatever reason, it was his tweet that got all the attention that AOC responded to. He's a reporter with a local paper there in San Antonio, calling her out for calling for internment camps for American Zionism. Jason Call from the Green Party here, funny enough, weighed in. In other "don't threaten me with a good time" news. Well done, Jason. So let's take a look at what she actually posted. This was on Instagram. She posted this. When Maureen gets into Congress, she'll write legislation so that all Zionism in support of Zionism is undoubtedly anti-Semitic, since it's Zionists harming the Semites. She'll turn Carnes ICE detention center into a prison for American Zionists and former ICE officers for human trafficking. It will also be a castration processing center for pedophiles, which will probably be most of the Zionists. Now look, man, I take that as a troll.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously trolling. I mean, now look, you do put people in a difficult position because you can't literally endorse internment camps for people's speech, because that's obviously a violation of the First Amendment. So you do kind of put people in a tough spot because they can't sign off on that policy if they were to take it literally. Of course, you can't.
Right.
Now, that's why I mentioned Donald Trump nudging Bukele. Hey, we need more of these jails. Like, what are you doing? You're fucking. That's what you're doing, and that's a troll. You know, so like, I mean, you know, yeah, you're putting your colleagues in a bit of a tough spot there. But as we'll see, I don't want to step on it. You know, all of the hysteria in response to this is smoke they didn't have for Joe Biden, who committed a genocide.
Exactly. All right. So Nick Cruz, I love this response. This is a legendary white woman.
White woman Hall of Fame.
But AOC didn't take it quite that way. She didn't find her quite so legendary.
This is absolutely disgusting.
This bigoted garbage and anti-Semitism should be nowhere near our politics. If you're in Texas 35, vote for Johnny Garcia. And the donors behind the Republican super PAC funding her should be exposed. All right, so Sabby threw this up. Johnny Garcia does not recognize genocide or support an arms embargo. This is who AOC just told you to support. This is the game she plays. She endorses pro-Palestinian candidates while also endorsing Zionists. Yeah, so this is Track APAC. Warning, this candidate is pro-Israel, does not recognize genocide, opposes an arms embargo, endorsed by DMFI, that's Democratic Majority for Israel.
Right.
And hey, you know, Inhumans of Capitalism points this out. Everyone forgot AOC did this. I forgot. Yeah, she posed with IDF soldiers after October 7th. There she is. There she is. Not AI. Haz al-Din laid out the whole AOC dilemma very well, I think. Why are Tucker Carlson, MTG, and Thomas Massie fascists rather than AOC? What actually materially makes them to the right of AOC? Leftists keep warning us about how Tucker, Massie, and MTG are hijacking leftist rhetoric and that they're actually fascists. But it's always been people like AOC who hijack socialist rhetoric and materially employ it in service to monopoly, capital, and imperialism, the textbook definition of fascism. AOC is never coded that way because most leftists are really just liberals who think the refusal to virtue signal cultural liberalism is a greater indicator of fascism than one's stance on a literal genocide. Well done, my friend. Well done. Yeah, that's the AOC thing. And I mean that's the MSNBC thing as well, right? It's more important what Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tucker Carlson have to say about structural racism than what they say about actual genocide. That's the more important thing, is what they say about how they run your local public school and whether you like it or not. So I looked up the money he gets. There are a lot of claims he's gotten money from AIPAC. I have not found evidence of that. He's gotten money. There's Johnny Garcia. He's got money from the Blue Dog Democrats. And indeed, he has gotten money from the DMFI. How much did he get from them? Where is that? Yeah, here it is. DMFI PAC. Yeah, he got, as of March 31st, he got 1,000. I'm sure he's gotten a lot more from them since then, given who he's running against. So here he is with the aw shucks hat. You always got to remember, if you're consuming political media, you know, it's all an act. It's all a put on. Like nothing's an accident, right? Yeah, this is how he walks around with suspenders and a hat. Yeah, sure. You know, it's like Bruce Springsteen. He did that ad for Biden in the diner. Yeah, that's what Bruce does. He goes against the $1.99 fried egg special. Yeah, that's how Bruce spends his mornings. So yeah, very put on with the hat here. But here he is trying to capitalize on the moment.
Okay, but then on the other.
Whoops. Oh yeah, let me get your stuff out of here.
This is Johnny Garcia, Democratic candidate for Congress in Texas's 35th Congressional District. I want to address something deeply concerning that has surfaced in this race. Recent comments made by my opponent about jailing people based on their beliefs and rhetoric, targeting members of the Jewish community, have no place in our Democratic Party or anywhere in public service. We should be bringing people together, not spreading hate, division, or dangerous rhetoric that pushes people away from our party
She didn't target anybody based on race.
As someone who spent years serving and protecting my community as a sheriff's deputy, I understand the weight words carry. Leadership matters. That's why it's so disturbing that a Republican super PAC has spent almost $1 million to boost my opponent's platform, despite her comments. Republicans need to take ownership for this and stop playing political games in my race. The people of Congressional District 35 deserve a representative focused on lowering costs, protecting working families, and uniting our communities, not fueling extremism and chaos. On May 26, we as a community can send a message that hate has no place in politics. I wish you all remain safe and God bless.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just so affected.
This is amazing. Republicans need to stop funding it. So the theory is that they're propping her up so that she'll win and she'll be unelectable. Basically, it's basically a sex therapist who's talking about I mean, they found a witch. Basically, as you say, you recruited a witch to run against me in the primary.
Well, but apparently she got the most votes in the first round. This is a runoff.
That's pretty fucking crazy. That's wild. So this is like the San Antonio area?
This is San Antonio. Listen, man, I watched a lot of her videos on Instagram. And she's on ice. I think especially it's a Democratic primary. I think she's pretty much where Democrats are. So she wants to get rid of ICE. But at the same time, she says, yeah, I believe that they allowed a lot of immigrants to come in and they didn't want them to be documented because that makes them easier to exploit.
Right.
So I do think we should create a safe way for people to immigrate. And, she's not arguing for an unrestrained border, but her theory of why it is closer to, I think, ours. Like,
Right.
There's no way that they couldn't control the border. I've never believed that. I've never believed it was an accident that you had all these people coming in. I always felt it was to suppress the power of labor. That was always my belief about it. And that's basically what she's saying. So she's not like we need open borders. She's saying, but you got to get rid of this Nazi police force. And she also talks about, well, you're talking about, you're reacting this way to me talking about jailing Zionists. We have people being jailed right here in town in a concentration camp. Why aren't you upset about that? So I don't know, man. Over the course of watching her videos, she kind of won me over. So APAC.
Well, she's certainly not anti-Semitic. Like she's not like nothing. Even the most extreme thing she said, which I take as a troll. I don't take it literally.
No,
it's obviously an insane policy if you take it literally, and I understand why you can't endorse that if you're a politician. Okay, fine, and I get that, but it was not anti-Semitic.
You can if you're a podcaster.
She didn't target anybody based on their race or who they were. She said Zionists.
No.
She didn't say Jews. She didn't say Rabbi. It didn't say it.
Right. Well, and she's made several videos arguing, as we do, no, actually, to be Zionist is anti-Jewish.
I'm Jewish. I'd have lunch with her over Dave Rubin any day of the week.
Absolutely not even a contest. We'd go to Katz's.
Yeah.
Then
she cut my dick off in the bathroom.
Yeah. So APAC Tracker here has backed off their endorsement. We are aware of recent incendiary statements and troubling behavior by congressional candidate Maureen Galindo, currently in a runoff election for the Democratic nomination for Texas 35. It has also come to our attention that one of her former patients was severely injured by a cock ring and is no longer able to enjoy a normal sex life. Most disturbing are her comments calling to jail Americans who identify as Zionists and calls for physical mutilation as a form of criminal punishment. Well, it was for PDF files. I mean, a lot of people would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
Track APAC stands firmly on the side of free expression. Just as we oppose efforts to criminalize the BDS movement and efforts to codify expressions of support for Palestinian liberation as anti-Semitism, so do we oppose any effort to suppress or punish the free speech of self-identified Zionists. Calls for cruel and unusual punishment like that which Galindo has promoted are fundamentally in opposition to our organization's commitment to justice and due process. As such, we are immediately revoking our endorsement of Maureen Galindo.
You can't
and encourage any others supporting her campaign to follow suit.
You can't like reach out for clarification. Like, I'm sure if she thought this was gonna like cost her endorsements, she would just say I was trolling. I was joking.
She has responded.
She has. Okay, all right. I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay, so here's Profile and Courage, Sam Piker, and what this video is pointing out. And look, man, a lot of people have pointed this out, and they've got a point. They will say, all of these anti-Zionist, pro-Palestinian people would absolutely disqualify somebody who served in the IDF. Like, they would never support somebody who served in the IDF. But, Graham Plattner did multiple tours in war zones where we killed plenty of children. And that's okay. That's a point. That's a valid point. So here, there's bad empanada. Sam Piker states he won't support anti-Zionist candidate Maureen Galindo because she's anti-Semitic. Piker, however, supports Graham Plattner even after acknowledging he murdered children. Is anti-Semitism worse than baby murder? So here's the clip.
Like Plattner are the people who killed 100+ little girls in Iran. I'll never support that. Yikes. Yeah, I don't care, man. Yeah, you got it. She's actually anti-Semitic, the first actual leftist anti-Semite. She's insane. Yeah, what has she said about Jews? Let's look at that. Maureen Galindo, a sex therapist who led a Democratic House primary in Texas' 35th district, forcing a runoff later. I mean, this is John Levine from Washington Free Beacon. He's one of my ops. Wait, forcing a runoff, has attacked Jews who own Hollywood as members of the synagogue. Oh, come on.
A lot of dead time there. I know you're on Twitch, but we're not. Come on, let's go. Come on, let's go. Let's keep going. Gotta go. Dead time. Get dead air here. This is about a 9-hour show.
Nice,
Yeah. Okay. So you just said John. You know who John Levine is, and you didn't even play the video. You say something like that on the air without watching the video on the basis of the way it's characterized by a guy you just characterized as an op. Yeah, that's it's doing a good job there, Hassan. Representative Josh Gottheimer. Statement from me and Representative Moskowitz, two good old Irish boys, on anti-Semitic Texas 35 candidate Maureen Galindo. If for some reason Maureen Galindo wins the congressional election in Texas 35, as soon as she is sworn in, we will force a vote to expel her every single day we are here. Maureen's insane anti-Semitic views, including putting Americans in concentration camps, have no place in our party or country. All right, well, there's a guy you could start with if you want to vote every day to kick someone out of Congress for outrageous genocidal statements. His name's Fat Randy. Fat Randy to his friends. Maybe you're friends with him. Maybe that's why you don't have this kind of smoke for Fat Randy. Gen X girl, where's your outrage when your tribesman says these things? Yeah. Hey. Palestinian is just another word for demon. Tell your fellow Muslim terrorists to release the hostages and surrender. Until then, starve away. Responding to someone talking about mercy, none. May the streets of Gaza run red with their blood. Isn't it funny that these guys don't have that policy for Randy Fine? Why don't you every day try to get Randy Fine out of Congress?
Yeah. Or what about half of these?
Much worse than anything that she said, even if you take it at face value, what she said.
Well, or like, what about half of the GOP now with the race science about the Somali IQ and shit like that? I mean, what is that? Saying Somalis don't belong here. They're trash. They're garbage.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, what do you like? Are you forcing votes to expel them every day? No, no.
Right. Only in this case. Only in this case. And here's Doug. How's Willie Brown's dick taste? Emhoff. This is obviously vile and disqualifying, but leaders need to do more than call this out and then move on. We need concrete action to fight this crisis of anti-Semitism. Education, Section 230 reform, i.e., a banned, controlled, censored internet,
Right.
Funding for safety and security and coalition building are a start. File this under no one's coming to save you. All right. That's the Democrat. That's the Democrat. And Gottheimer and Moskowitz, they're Democrats. Mel responded to Emhoff. This, we should ban free speech on the internet and give out even more money for safety and security because someone made an Instagram post you don't like. What the hell is wrong with you freaks? Indeed, Mel. And Johnny Grass, this you? He looked up Douglas Emhoff, Randy Fine. He has had no comments about the genocidal, maniacal statements of Randy Fine. That didn't upset him. He didn't call for censoring the internet because of Fat Randy, interestingly enough. Lucky girl, Meghan McCain, a Democrat candidate for Congress, is suggesting concentration camps for people whose only accomplishment is being shot out of the right dick.
Yes.
Didn't say that. For Americans who support Israel, I can't believe the world I'm raising my children in. Like, I actually can't believe this is America in 2026. Also, I'm a Zionist, so she wants me in prison too. See, these people are so clueless, they don't realize they're making the case for these people by pointing that out. You're making it sound better and better, Megan. Lizard Man, Rick Scott. This is beyond despicable. A Democrat candidate is openly calling for a Jewish no, Zionist. I promise she would not put me in there. I promise. She'd just watch one episode of the show. We'd be free to take our things and go. In the United States of America in 2026, do any of their leaders care? Will any of them condemn this? Or are they content to let their entire party turn into a hotbed of anti-Semitism? Representative Jeffries, Senator Schumer, balls in your court. So remember who this is coming from. He pled the fifth 75 times in a Medicare fraud case, paid a $1.7 billion fine, walked away with $300 million. Now, one of the reasons that they want you to hate China, they don't want anyone thinking too much about what the Chinese would do with a guy like Rick Scott, because under their legal system, from what I understand, he'd probably be executed by the state, a guy like this. He certainly would not be in the Senate. This is the quality of person beating their breast and telling you what you should be morally outraged about. A guy who committed what some say is the greatest case of Medicare fraud in American history. This guy sits in the Senate and wants to tell you what you should get outraged about. So here she's had a couple response videos, but here is one of them.
Say that I want billionaire Zionists in prison. That does not mean I want Jews in internment camps. So why am I getting a whole bunch of death threats and MAGA insults? Which actually makes sense, I realize. Like, MAGA and Jewish Zionists apparently are the exact same people. They talk the exact same way, and that's because MAGA is the developing Christian Zionism. That's how they want to create a religion state in the United States of America, is through MAGA, which that's the goal of Zionism, is to create these white supremacist religion states. So, like, I don't care what religion you are. If you are a Zionist, meaning that you believe that you are just entitled to land, or someone's just entitled to land based off of religious beliefs, and that you'll kill all of the Semites for it, then yeah, I think that you're a danger to humanity and belong in prison. Especially if you have the political and economic resources to make that happen. And that's how we will get all of the billionaire Zionists in prison, is through all of the business.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know, man. I mean, we've been doing a show for years where we say very similar things to that. So, you know, this was my take. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. Where do I sign up to volunteer? You know, I don't usually fuck with Democrats, but she makes a good case. Yeah, look, man. It's funny because like you'll get people who will go this far into what anti-Zionists will talk about. I think that's part of what is jarring. Like, look, man, this is pretty much what we all say. I mean, anyone who's like really anti-Zionist, what she's talking about, what did they just do last week? They made freaking Cruella DeVille get out there and promote their prayer day on the mall in Washington. She's absolutely right. They're trying to create a fascist Christian state. They are. And the idea that this much I will agree with the people defending Israel when they say, "What, you think Israel can make the U.S. do this?" I mean, they've got a point in that America doesn't need to be led into being a fascist genocidal state. It's always been one. Like, we are not allies with Israel because Israel forced us into going against our nature. We're allies with Israel because that's peanut butter and jelly, man. We belong with Israel. It's another settler, colonial, genocidal state, just like us. Two peas in a pod. And she's pointing that out. MAGA, Israel, it's the same project. She's absolutely right. Now, will she win? I don't know. You know what I didn't get a chance to look into? I don't know if they have open primaries in Texas. I bet a lot of disaffected Massie voters would come out for her if they could. Like, the fact that she was the leading candidate going into the runoff. Now, I don't know how much control they have over San Antonio Democrats there. It does look like within Democrat primaries, it's not really going the Massie way. We just saw that in Pennsylvania. So I don't know, man. Somebody who's saying like, yeah, I think the Zionists should be locked up in an ICE prison. I don't know what the San Antonio Democrats are like. I don't know if they're MSNBC Democrats or if they're like, fuck Israel Democrats. I don't know. I don't know how much. Normally the party says this and that's it. Democratic primary voters do whatever they're told to do. And it'll probably work out that way. But it's strange. It's strange times.
I think it probably will work out that way too. I mean, look, like you have to charge someone with a crime to throw them in jail. You can't say this person's beliefs make them a danger to society, therefore we're going to throw them in prison. Like you can't have that as an official position. It's a ridiculous position. So yeah, I mean, to kind of double down on that, I don't know. Did she not? Is she trolling? I don't really know. It's tough to say. She seems like a bit of a provocateur. So who knows? I mean, that's really all I could say. I mean, you're making it hard by saying that. Like, you want to say, hey, I get what she's saying. She's saying, look, like the whole conceit.
Well, she's arguing treason. She's arguing that that's your legal grounds. They're committing treason. I'm just saying that's what she's arguing.
Right, but I mean, by that definition, half the country's going to be locked up at any time. Right? Like, if you start saying, hey, your thoughts are a danger to society, you have to go to jail. Yeah, no. I mean, you can't really justify that as a position, I don't think. Now, I guess the conceit of what she's saying is that, hey, as long as we have all these ICE prisons built, let's throw people in there who deserve to be there. Okay, like, as a rhetorical piece of politics, like, I kind of get it. Like, I don't think, and certainly, like, I don't believe that it's anti-Semitic or bigoted in any way. Like, as a Jewish guy, I can tell you, like, it's squarely not that. And
from what I've watched, she talks more about Christian Zionists.
About the Christian Zionists, yeah. And what I would say is that, again, just as when we talked about the AOC versus Marjorie Taylor Greene thing, about how AOC does not trust Marjorie Taylor Greene, or she will not align herself with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You aligned yourself with Joe Biden, like, as that woman there, Santa, said on Bad Faith. Like, why isn't that scrutinized more? Like,
Right.
why is that taken for granted that it's a totally acceptable thing
Right.
to do? Like, this, I think, is inflammatory, over the top rhetoric. And if you're taking it literally, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. What Joe Biden did was actually aid and abet a real life Holocaust that got hundreds of thousands of innocent
Right.
people killed.
Right.
Like, why is it more acceptable to support him than it is to support this woman? Like,
Right.
Like, it's the old
Exactly.
Nick Fuentes thing. It's like what Tucker Carlson, said. When I forget who was interviewing him, but he's like, I interviewed Ted Cruz and I interviewed Nick Fuentes. He says Nick Fuentes has said some objectionable things. Who has more blood on their hands, Nick Fuentes or Ted Cruz, who votes
Yep.
to kill children in Gaza?
Right.
Like,
Right.
that's where I keep the focus. Like, to me, and AOC's coming out and saying this is horribly anti-Semitic and going as far as to endorse the guy who's backed by the
Right.
DMFI. Right? It's one thing to say, like, look, if you seriously believe in putting people in jail for thought crimes, we can endorse you. Okay, I get that. I do get that. But I don't. But then at that point, the position is we're not endorsing anyone in this
Right.
race, because if
Right.
the opponent is backed by the DMFI, then you can't endorse them either.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my take.
Well, I mean,
That's
and
my take.
that's very.
She seems
that's
like a fun
classic
gal.
AOC. Seems fun. We should get her on.
She seems fun. Yeah. But yeah.
Jimmy should have her on. She'd probably be on the show.
Yeah. Get a panel together. Yeah. All right. Let's move right on along here. Okay, so for my next piece here, I'm only using 2 because otherwise we'll be here forever downloading everything. Just the essentials. You can find them there.
Hang on, you need me to load something?
Yeah, it's the 1, 2, 3.
All
It's the
right,
fourth and fifth
let me
one
get
down.
my stuff out.
All right. It's the 4th and 5th one down. The Itamar Ben-Gvir and the Andrew Feinstein. All right. In the meantime, we will move right on along here. Let's take a quick game break for a word from Rumble Wallet. So, quick question, folks. How much control do you actually have over your money right now? That's right. We hear a lot about the new economy, but what most people miss is that Rumble is now in the game themselves. And what we're talking about, of course, is Rumble Wallet. It takes all the complexity of the new digital economy and makes it super simple and puts it to use for a good cause, because you can use it to support your favorite creators here on Rumble. So you can choose the currency of your choice, a Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoin, or even digital gold backed by real gold. No complicated setup. It connects with MoonPay, so you use your credit card, debit card, or bank and be up and running in minutes. And once you're set up, you can support your favorite creators on Rumble like us directly in a medium where the platform takes 0% fees, unlike platforms like Twitch and YouTube. So do this now. Scan the QR code or click the link in the description and download the Rumble wallet. From there, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and you are in the game. It's a great way to support the creator economy here on a free speech platform and take control of your money. So get started now with the Rumble wallet. Scan that QR code right on the screen right now. You'll be up and running in minutes. Sending Rumble rants through your Rumble wallet works just the same as when you send them any other way. Super user-friendly, super streamlined. Kudos to Rumble for creating this disruptive technology. That's the Rumble wallet. Scan the QR code on the screen right now to get started. The website is wallet.rumble.com. Okay.
All right, I didn't want to mess up your ad read. So what are you talking about? The one at 312 and the 2 at 313?
What do you mean 312 and 313?
Those are the timestamps. You see those too, right?
No, I don't.
You go into private chat. Oh, you don't see that?
It says x.com/Itamar Ben-Gvir. That's the first one.
Oh, this isn't the Tucker thing.
No. And then the second one is x.com/Andrew Feinstein.
Got it.
Cool. All right. Yeah, we're doing Ben-Gvir first here. All right. So let's take some chats here. Nina Kant says, did Massie just read the redacted names in Mr. Wonderful Epstein files on House floor? Did he? I don't know. Are we missing something? I'll see after the show, assuming my internet works. America, a land of the fees consumers, spend $90 billion a year on junk fees, and we're underpaid, overworked, and fees go up every day, except our pay. That's right. EO Shush, another ignorant take. If you watched that last Joe Rogan pod with Mark Andreessen, you would have learned these Amazon workers are lazy, and if they work 20 hours a day, they'd be billionaires. That's right. He was on again, wasn't he? I just saw that.
I didn't have time to get to it. Maybe Sunday I'll do what I did last time.
$1 Million Trooper says Max Blumenthal believes Ed Gallrein's Navy record is redacted to hide that he was a desk jockey, not a SEAL operator. But are we sure he never fluffed German shepherds for the IDF? Ha, good one. Nina Kantz, if you're no good with your hands, I take it you're no good at jacking off. Ha ha, comedian. It's all right. Nice workshopping that there. Blue Swirl, Rumble won't let Vientikas rant. It just doesn't feel the same without his fun commentary. Why won't they let Vientikas rant? Didn't he rant earlier? That's interesting. He needs Rumble Wallet. That's a good workaround. Fuck capitalism. We should make a system that thinks about what we ought to do. We can call it autism. Yeah, I don't like that. It's good. Stoop Sign says, gorgeous damn. Thank you, Stoop Sign. Jesus would totally bang that chick. You talk about the new girl here? Kem and G, lots of AOC supporters are people who read papers like The Guardian so they could feel good about cultural issues, but have no real economic understanding. Many of them think the ADL is combating hate. Well, look, in AOC's case, it's especially cynical since she is quite obviously doing all this because she thinks she's going to be president someday. That's why all the outrage. Like, why do you have to show outrage over this woman? Like, you don't have to endorse her if you think that, you know, that that policy is a bridge too far. But, like, why do you have to come out and, you know, so loudly and proudly condemn her? That's because you're attracting the Democrat donors. You want to make a big spectacle of what a horrible woman this woman is so that the pro-Israel donors feel more comfortable with you in a couple of years. That's why she doesn't want to say a good word about Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you know, these Democratic donors are extremely tribal, and you just cannot say a good word about the other side. If you want to, you know, be on their list of campaign donation recipients. All right. Do you want to take some more rants and chats? Because I got to copy the new ones over.
All right. Where are you at?
I'm at, well, I think it's the first one. I think
it's okay.
I've been clearing as I go. So, yeah, there you go.
Kevin G, if Maureen Galindo, a Christian, saw your show, she'd probably say, the politics are fine, but every second word is fucking shit. I don't like it. Wouldn't be the first. Would not be the first. Vientikas Prime.
Callback.
Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Everything's hypocrisy, and so you don't comply. Why don't you say that in Spanish? Yeah. Oh, George, me and my big fucking mouth. Yeah, Russ is back. Everything will be normal now, right? Tuesday show is later.
We did that already. That must have been a... Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? Oh, fuck me. This goddamn internet. No, that's what happened. I was like, why do we have so many chats? I didn't think... I mean, you guys are nice to us. You're not that nice to us. No, because my internet is fucking up, so it must have reloaded the chat queue in Jake's app.
I mean, there's not that many on my end.
Okay. All right, hang on.
Hang on, let me see. Abiding 71.
Yeah, no, this is all
That's
repeats. Yeah, this is
That's
all
old?
old. Yeah. All right. So what time is it? 14:57. Okay, so here. Just do me a favor. Just delete those, and I will grab the new ones. God, what a fucking disaster. Yeah, just get rid of everything, and I'll clear them out. All right. So we're not that far behind on them, I don't think. Okay. All right. We have more. Okay. So here it is. So, all right.
Let me get the last of them out. All right. They're out.
So now that's out. All right. So now we got one more. All right. So we'll save that one until after the next segment. All right. That's what happened. Oh, it says my connection is better now, though. All right. Good. Yeah. I look like
actually, you don't look blurry.
Well, they said they were going to fix it by 4:00. So hopefully they fixed it. Fuckers.
Yeah. You look better. Yeah.
God damn. What a day, huh? All right, cool. All right, so yeah, maybe they fixed it. Bastards. All right, so let's take a look at this next segment here. All right, folks. So Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is national security minister in Israel, ranking member of the Israeli government, decided he was going to have some fun at the expense of the Flotilla crew, who Israel just captured and is now detaining. We're talking about the Gaza Samud Flotilla. They are, of course, not welcome in Gaza and apparently not welcome in Israel, which is why Itamar Ben-Gvir gave them this ironic welcome to Israel tweet along with this video gloating about how badly he's treating them.
Palestine!
ברוכים הבאים לישראל, אנחנו בעלי הבית. ככה צריך. עם ישראל חי. עם ישראל חי.
זיכוי, כל המטרה כאן זה לראות שאין אנשים בתהליך.
לא להתרגש מהצעקות שלהם, לא להתרגש.
Okay, so that's not a video that somebody filmed and posted without his knowledge to embarrass him. That's a video that he posted himself. He was very, very proud of that. All right, I'm going to try to play this video since my internet's coming through. I was going to cut this for simplicity's sake, but let's give it a whirl. Just some background on who Itamar Ben-Gvir is. Actually a criminal by Israeli standards, okay, and an inciter of racism and racist violence by Israeli standards. So Ben-Gvir is a criminal in the true face of the apartheid state of Israel. This is a little report from Double Down News.
Of Jewish power, previously convicted in Israel of incitement to racism and supporting a terrorist organization. Ben-Gvir lives in an illegal settlement in Hebron. Ben-Gvir's mentor, Rabbi Meir Kahane, established the Kach movement.
This is our country, it is not theirs. I want the Arabs out.
They must go.
He was committed to the use of specifically Jewish violence to effect such changes.
If I were the Minister of Defense, there wouldn't be one Arab left here.
Are you encouraging your people to go out on the streets and to attack Arabs as has happened in...
I call upon the Jews to do anything imaginable and anything possible which will encourage the Arabs to get out of this country.
Does that mean attacking?
Anything possible. I want them out alive, and if not alive, dead.
Kahane's views were so extreme that the US classified Kach as a terrorist organization in 1997. And Kahane was the inspiration for Baruch Goldstein, another settler from the Hebron settlements who murdered over 20 innocent Palestinians in cold blood.
Goldstein's portrait still hangs in Hebron, on the wall of Itamar Ben-Gvir.
אמירה מאוד מאוד מפורשת, שהבן שלך בא ושואל אותך, מי זה אבא? מי זה האיש הזה שם בתמונה?
משהו צדיק, אני אומר משהו גיבור, אני אומר...
In 1993, Benjamin Netanyahu became leader of Likud. As Likud leader, Benjamin Netanyahu demonized the then Israeli Prime Minister and Labour Party leader Yitzhak Rabin for signing the Oslo Peace Accords. In 1995, Ben-Gvir, the Minister for National Security responsible for the police today, appeared on television brandishing an ornament stolen from Rabin's car and proudly declared, "We got to his car, we'll get to him too."
סמל הוא סמל, ומסמל שכמו שאנחנו הגענו לסמל הזה, אנחנו יכולים להגיע לרבין. כאשר ראש הממשלה עושה דברים כאלה חמורים, אני חושב שבהחלט אפשר לעשות מעשים חמורים נגדו.
A few weeks later, Rabin was assassinated. The death of Rabin led to the death of the peace process.
Okay, so you get the idea. Okay, I seem to be playing pretty well on the monitor. So
you're fine.
Look, my upload speeds are back. See, look, we're back now that the show's almost over. So that's who Ben-Gvir is, because there's going to be some reference to it throughout these various condemnations here. So obviously condemnation was fast and swift from the Western allies, who, of course, are very eager to pin the crimes of the Israeli state on one Itamar Ben-Gvir. If Netanyahu isn't a good scapegoat, well, certainly this guy is, right? So Mark Carney, the abominable treatment of civilians aboard the flotilla, including that which is documented in footage shared by Itamar Ben-Gvir, is unacceptable. Canada's Minister of Foreign Affairs has directed officials to summon the Israeli ambassador to demand assurances regarding the safety and security of Canadians involved. Canada has already imposed strict sanctions on Mr. Ben-Gvir, not on Israel, just on him, including asset freezes and a travel ban in response to his repeated incitement of violence. The protection of civilians and respect for human dignity must be upheld everywhere at all times. Pedro Sanchez says the images of the Israeli minister Ben-Gvir humiliating members of the international flotilla in support of Gaza are unacceptable. We will not tolerate anyone mistreating our citizens. In September, I announced the ban on access to national territory for this member of the Israeli government. Now we are going to push in Brussels for these sanctions to be elevated to the European scale on an urgent basis. Giorgio Maloney says the images of this Israeli minister Ben-Gvir are unacceptable. It is inadmissible that these demonstrators, including many Italian citizens, are subjected to this treatment that violates human dignity. The Italian government is immediately taking, at the highest institutional levels, all necessary steps to secure the immediate release of the Italian citizens involved. Italy further demands an apology for the treatment reserved to those demonstrators and for the total contempt shown toward the explicit requests of the Italian government. For these reasons, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation will immediately summon the Israeli ambassador to request formal clarifications on what has occurred. You need formal clarifications, do you? Seems pretty self-evident. But hey, you know what other world leader got in on the blame Ben-Gvir grift here? Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Through his Hebrew account, Israel has the full right to prevent provocative flotillas of Hamas terror supporters from entering our territorial waters and reaching Gaza. However, you should be nice to them. The way Minister Ben-Gvir, however, it shouldn't be personal. However, the way Minister Ben-Gvir treated the flotilla activists is not in line with the values and norms of the state of Israel. Oh, you're going to laugh, folks. This is not the only one. I have instructed the relevant authorities to deport the provocateurs as soon as possible. So Gvir wasn't done. He actually posted another video. In a second video, Ben-Gvir mocks the detained activists, saying they came here all full of pride, like big heroes. Look at them now, before calling on Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to hand them over for long-term imprisonment. So he didn't want to just detain them, humiliate them, and let them go. He actually wanted to keep them and jail them for a long time. They came with a lot of pride, like great heroes. Look how they look now. Just look. Look how they look now. Not heroes or anything, just supporters of terrorism. I tell the Prime Minister Netanyahu, give him to me for a much, much longer time. Give them to us in the terror prisons. That's how it should look. Wow. So, doubling down there. And yeah, the Israelis are very embarrassed by this because, this is not what they're about in Israel. They're very dignified people. They treat everybody with respect, even those who they don't like, right?
Oh, yeah.
Ambassador Yechiel.
The only democracy in the Middle East.
The only democracy in the Middle East. Ambassador Yechiel Leiter. As Netanyahu and Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar have made clear, Itamar Ben-Gvir's reckless grandstanding is not representative of government policy. I am Israel's top diplomat in the U.S. at the heart of our most important alliance. Ben-Gvir's antics take a sledgehammer to our diplomatic efforts, while Israel's enemies gleefully jump on every unfortunate nonsense to discredit and demonize. The provocateurs of the flotilla charade were properly detained. Oh, well, you just contradicted yourself. If they were properly detained, then you didn't do anything wrong, right? In accordance with international law, and will be deported to their home countries. End of story. See, this is how you guys
weren't
get a
they
reputation.
seized in international waters?
They were hundreds of miles out. The provocateurs of the flotilla charade were detained in accordance with international law and deported to their home country. So, see, this is why you get a reputation for being shifty and sneaky and talking out of both sides of your mouth, because you spent the first two paragraphs condemning Ben-Gvir, and then you basically said, hey, they were properly detained in accordance with international law. If they were kidnapped in international waters, that is not in accordance with international law. Gideon Sa'ar, who was referenced in that tweet, You knowingly caused harm to our state in this disgraceful display, and not for the first time. So then why is he still in the government then? What, they can't fire this guy? Why is he still the national security minister? You have undone tremendous professional and successful efforts made by so many people, from IDF soldiers to foreign ministry staff and many others. No, you are not the face of Israel. LOL. What, they can't fire this guy? They can't get rid of this guy?
Have you seen the public opinion polls? They loved us until this.
Yeah, exactly. So what? No matter how many people don't like him, what, he can't be forced out of a job. This guy's like the Anthony Fauci of Israel. He's just there for as long as he wants, no matter what. Is that how it works? As an Israeli, I am utterly ashamed, says Vika Klein, and disgusted by Itamar Ben-Gvir's pathetic, childish stunt. Notice none of these people say that the activists deserve to be treated with dignity or respect or nothing. It's a stunt, it's grandstanding, it's excessive, it's childish, you're making us look bad, right? The humiliating way he filmed and mocked detainees is a national disgrace. This is not Israel. It's damaging our soldiers and our country. Not in our name. So then Netanyahu goes and he tweets out some heartwarming photos of him and the world's most moral army there. Today with our wonderful fighters and heroines in the Jordan Valley. There are none better than them in the world. Yeah, they look like a real friendly bunch there. Not only Itamar Ben-Gvir, Israel's Minister of Transportation, Miri Regev, also took part in the abuse and humiliation of the Flotilla activists, calling them terror supporters and drugged with alcohol. No calls for her to resign. If this was what they do to Westerners in public, you can only imagine what is happening to Palestinians away from cameras in their prisons, says Murtaza Hussein. Yes, good point. Although there's no imagination necessary because Ben-Gvir posts that too, as we'll see in a moment. Moeen Rabbani says the thing to understand about Ben-Gvir's abduction victory video is that it's part of his election campaign. It is equally important to understand that it will work because Israel. Yeah. So to the previous tweet's point here, also important to understand that Ben-Gvir posts torture videos like that all the time with Palestinian prisoners. And the world has been silent until now when Europeans appeared in the videos instead of Palestinians. So let's take a look at this. This is also from Ben-Gvir.
That's what I thought. I thought I remembered seeing him post.
Oh yeah, we see this. We see this quite often. It's not a liability when he posts this about Palestinians. They were big heroes. Look how they are now. See, that's a line of his. Look, they thought they were big heroes. We broke their pride. The absolute minimum conditions, but there's still something that must be done. Death penalty. Yeah, so these are the people he wants to execute, and apparently that law has now been implemented. So yeah, this is nothing really new. Caitlin Johnson says Zionists aren't mad at Ben-Gvir for being evil. They're mad at him for being honest. Yep, exactly. And look, this is part of what they post here to show how moral they are. Look. This is another photo tweeted out by Israel. Look, this is looks like a homosexual. Look at how nice we're being to the homosexual. Look,
we don't throw them off a building or anything.
They don't hang them from a crane or nothing. Look, they look thrilled to be in IDF detention there. Look at that woman smiling.
We give them glow sticks.
yeah. What a nice smile there. See, they have a great time. It's fun being detained by the IDF. It's a great time. So notice we didn't hear from any American leaders about the treatment of the Flotilla activists. No, this is fresh off the press in terms of how we are responding to all of this. U.S. imposes sanctions on Gaza Flotilla organizers from Al Jazeera. The United States has imposed sanctions on 4 activists involved in flotilla missions seeking to break Israel's 19-year siege on Gaza, home to 2.3 million people, most of them displaced by Israel's genocidal war on the enclave. The sanctions were announced on Tuesday after at least 430 activists were abducted during the Israeli interceptions of aid ships headed toward Gaza, which has been facing shortages of food and other necessities due to Israeli curbs on aid and deliveries into the enclave. The U.S. Department of the Treasury announced sanctions on Tuesday against 4 activists linked to Gaza flotilla campaigns. The measures target 2 representatives from the Popular Conference for Palestinians Abroad, an organization established in 2017 by Palestinians living outside Gaza and the occupied West Bank, with offices in Beirut and Istanbul. The sanctions also targeted 2 members of Samidun, an international advocacy network that campaigns on behalf of Palestinian prisoners. Among them are Mohammed Khatib and Samidun, who has previously been detained in Belgium and Greece over his activism, and Jaldia Abu Bakra, who participated in the global Samud flotilla last year. The sanctions also targeted Saif Abu Kashek, a Spanish national detained and deported by Israel this month after taking part in a flotilla, and Hisham Abu Mahfouz, the acting Secretary General of the PCPA. So that's what our government has done. We haven't heard a statement on this from our leader, but here's one that kind of lets you know where his heart is on this. Here's Donald Trump bragging that while his poll numbers may be not so good here, they're at 99% in Israel.
At 99% in Israel, I could run for prime minister. So maybe after I do this, I'll go to Israel, run for prime minister.
Why not just do it now?
I had a poll this morning, 99%. So that's good. But
just go do it now.
That's good. That's good.
Just go be prime minister now. They'd probably love to have you. They don't really like Netanyahu. They probably like you better than Netanyahu. And I would gladly have you go and be the prime minister of Israel. That could be, who knows? That could be the key to world peace after all. You know, you never know. So worth a shot, I'd say. Definitely worth a try. No, but that's where the United States is. And, you know, just as Netanyahu was a convenient scapegoat for, you know, liberal Zionists to try and exonerate the larger crimes of the Israeli state, that's the role that Ben-Gvir plays right now. And for all of this posturing about how dare you embarrass us in this way? Well, you don't think they want... Why is he still in the government? I'm not... Look, I'm not an expert on Israeli civics, but if this guy is really the pariah that seemingly everyone in the government says he is, what, they can't get him to step down, they can't force him out, they can't put him on trial. Israel does put corrupt politicians on trial. That's one thing they do that we apparently in the United States don't. So what, they can't get this guy out of the government if they want to? Kind of seems like they want a guy like that there. They want a guy like that there who they can point to when something horrible happens and say, look, it's this guy. He's a racist. He's a criminal. He doesn't speak for us. Because if they didn't have him, they'd be the ones doing it. And then what are they going to say for themselves? This is obviously the MO of the Israeli state, obviously the MO of the IDF in actions of war. And, you know, blaming it on this guy is just a pressure release valve for the Israeli system. Just like we have pressure release valves here, they have them there. And that gives our world leaders an opportunity to act outraged at the abuse of human rights. Meanwhile, as we just saw, as was pointed out in one of the tweets there, he's filmed himself doing this to Palestinian prisoners, and we haven't heard a word about it.
Yep. Yeah, this is it's the Casablanca thing. I'm shocked to find out gambling is going on in this establishment.
Yep.
It really also shows you how scummy politics are, because they're all willing to throw this guy under the bus.
Right.
That is in the club, right? I mean, they're all down with genocide and abuse of prisoners and, you know, murder and sexual assault. They're all into it, man. They are into it. And hey, man, you know, you shouldn't have put out a video with white Westerners making this so obvious. And actually, when they captured the Greta Thunberg flotilla, there were videos in that direction. They just weren't as extreme with Ben-Gvir, where he had them all kneeling. It just wasn't as physical. Like you didn't see them actually assaulting them. But and he did the same thing, talking about how, we're going to show them. Remember, he walked through the prison. We covered that.
Right.
This was just because you saw, particularly like women being physically abused.
Right.
He kicked it up another notch. This is not the first time he showed himself abusing the flotilla members, most of whom are white Westerners. He just took it to another level. And yeah, man, for these scumbags like Mark Carney, listen, you can turn an entire city, an entire territory into a moonscape, but you know, you can't kick the shit out of white people on camera like that.
Right.
That's not cool. That's not cool, man. You're making us look bad. And yeah, it gives them an opportunity to pretend that they haven't always been for all of this, that somehow they have some moral position regarding Israel.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
It's much easier to call out a guy than a system.
Exactly. All right. We got one more segment to do. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. I know we're running a little late because of all the technical mishaps. And we do have kind of a backlog of YouTube super chats that did not copy over to the app properly. I'm sure that had something to do with the internet outage today. So I will read some of those. Do you want to read a few of these Rumble rants first while I find my place there?
Okay.
Apologies to our super chatters. Didn't realize that until now, that we were kind of backed up on those. We're having a lot of tech problems today that are beyond our control. So thank you for bearing with us at this time.
All right. Peter Ive. For those Zionist billionaires, remember Beria. Show me the man and I'll show you the crime. Yeah, not hard to find it with those guys.
Oh, by the way, 2038 in the chat. And 1210 in the like column. All righty, beautiful. All right, I'm going to put the scroll up while we're doing these two.
Kevin G. Yeah, okay, we already did that one. All right, so
are we fucked up here again?
Ravid Laz, no. Randy Fine is so fat he has to buy 2 plane tickets when he flies. He's so fat he's permanently banned from every buffet in Florida. Ooh.
Ooh. Rex Jones had a good tweet about Randy Fine. He says banned from 109 buffets. This guy.
Ravid Laz. Randy Fine is so fat a heckler once threw a rock at him. The rock stopped midair, food from him, and started doing revolutions around him. Hey. Try to shrimp. Kenman G. Interesting fact. Baruch Goldstein, the terrorist who killed 20 Palestinians, was actually an American-born and trained doctor who gave up everything to kill for Israel. How many more exist in USA? Too many, my friend. Kenman G. AOC in 2028. Ben-Gvir is working tirelessly for a ceasefire.
Yeah, good one.
Listen, man, I've ordered 2 shirts that I promise you, when I wear them in New York, I am going to get footage of Zionists yelling at me for wearing these shirts.
All right. Interesting. All right, what do we got here?
That's why I ordered them. And actually, I think we're going to start something. I'll talk to you about this. Like, I mean, what am I going to wind up with 150 shirts? Like, what we should start to do is have shirt giveaways for membership.
Yeah, there you go. You could sign them.
Yeah, I'll start to like cycle them out as I bring new ones in.
All right, there we go. I like that idea. Now that could work. Let's see. Skull King Skunk says, postal worker here. Amazon uses us constantly because they're government welfare queens like all billionaires. Yeah, they started using the post office. I remember that. So, folks, I'm going to read these. I don't know if I can display them because I'm on my other monitor here, but I'm going to read them all. Okay. Area Hermit Woman, thanks for the $2. Stash 3-month emergency food and meds if possible. Why? For the hantavirus and the Ebola? Going to have a lot of shit diseases all around here. Andy Gardner, my nurse had to share my catheter. No potty breaks. 31M Burr says, my brother drives UPS, makes over 100K. Great benefits. Yeah, no, UPS drivers, when they're at it for a long time. When I worked, I don't know how it works for the drivers. Maybe it works this way. When I worked at the warehouse, you got overtime every day. It wasn't like over 40 hours a week it kicks in. It's the warehouse shift was supposed to be 5 hours. So you got paid your regular rate for the first 5 hours. But then I think after that, you got overtime. So I think the drivers get like overtime every day. I don't know that's the case, but if it works the way the warehouse people did, then they probably get overtime every day if they go over a certain hour. Benjamin Stieber says, people don't want to work because the employers girls don't want to date nice guys. Not mine, but funny. Yep. Skyman 2204 says, no upper class, no middle or lower class, only master slaves who Rs, YouTube, and mercenaries. Tohid. Tom O'Neill, in his book Chaos, Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s, reveals that suspected operative Reeve Winston's code name was, wait for it, Walter Kern. Is that true? Is that true? Was that in that book?
I mean, I probably, at the time I read it, it didn't
jump out
to me. Yeah.
Let's see here. Keaton's sister Barry, says Danny D, rose to the top of ranks of CBS. Barry Rose, got it. A real rags to riches story. That's right. Virtuoso 191 says, Keaton, let us know if Due Dissidence is also on Real Player. You look pixelated as fuck. Yeah, I remember Real Player. Good one, Virtuoso. Though I don't think now anymore. I think I'm coming through better. Ron Contra says, capitalism, me paying $2 for Weirdos for Gallrine. That's right. Mill Raven, thanks for the $10. The strongest need in the human psyche is to feel useful. Capitalism is based on people valuing their own labor more than the compensation they get for it. You know, that's an interesting statement. That's an interesting statement because obviously monetarily they're paid less than it's worth. But you could be onto something there. Benjamin Stieber says our liberty lies dormant in unenforced antitrust. That's right. That's right. Actually, you're right about that. Warm Red 99, thanks for the $20. Hey guys, Cool Blue was busy last Tuesday, but not to worry. You've got all the election analysis you need with me, Warm Red. I predict Paul will win Kentucky with write-in ballots not yet counted. Thank you for that, Warm Red. Appreciate that. Satanica, thanks for the $5. I know these parasocial relationships are weird, but just want to let you guys know you're loved and appreciated. As are you, Satanica. Even if you are a cheat busting teacher, even if you want to bust your kids for cheating on their tests, you should think about giving them a break. You know, what if they don't want to be in the class? What if they have to take the class? You know. What, are you going to fail them because they don't know something? Who cares? They could look it up on they probably don't need to know it anyway. You know, take it easy for the kids. You know,
they're not gonna remember.
They're not gonna remember it anyway. What do you think? I take a chemistry quiz. I don't know the first thing about chemistry now. Danny D, Russ, are you noticing any additional excitement around the Knicks' deep playoff run in the city? Does the city have Nick fever?
I mean, you're really asking the wrong person. I could give so few shits about anything like that.
Yeah.
I saw Mamdani got the fucking money grubbing cunts at FIFA to release $50 tickets for New Yorkers.
Yeah, he got $1,000
$50 tickets.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think hey, who doesn't have Nick fever? Knicks are looking like they're kicking ass. Kicking major ass.
Whatever.
Could be their year.
Who cares?
Their year.
Who cares? Who gives a shit?
People like it. It's fun. A man drowning, he prays for help, says Skyman. Every passerby that tries, the man refuses, for God will save him. Now dead, he asked God, why God? I tried, but you didn't want to help. You wanted to feel special. Thank you, Skyman.
I'll watch it. Well, is Wilt Chamberlain coaching? I'll watch it there.
Yes, Wilt Chamberlain playing. You should bring a Wilt Chamberlain sign to the garden. Put Wilt in.
Bring back Wilt to still.
Put Wilt in. Why is Wilt on the bench? Hey, my man, it says Ron Contra says my band is playing tonight. We're called Synagogue of Satan, Santa Barbara local here. Because of you guys, I'm now involved in Butch Ware's political efforts. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. That's great to hear. Great to hear. Thank you for that. Zami 1969, thanks for the $20. Says I'm still here hoping for the Judeo-Muslim propaganda. Thank you. Skyman says, what exactly do these fanatics think will happen? Guys, we did. Jesus has returned. Praise be. He's super pissed, though. Why? We only destroyed everything and everyone. Thank you, Skyman. Obsessed Dragonfly, thanks for the $10. So you guys in Midwestern Marks keep mentioning each other. Please have them on the show already, or I might go insane.
Yeah, I can't man.
Oh, does he mention us too? I know. I had some exchanges with Liger back in the day. I haven't heard from him in a while, but yeah, why not? No,
Darlene. He was, as you would imagine, he was enjoying my China post.
Oh, nice. Okay. No, Darlene, thanks for the $10. YouTube looks to be unsubbing users from you guys. Yeah, we've had a lot of unsubscribes. So who knows? That could be some fuckery. Because it's been kind of brutal. Ron Contra, thanks for the $5. Keaton's internet's fucking up because Mr. Wonderful is coming for him. Yeah, exactly. No, when you're a podcaster, every time your internet fucks up, you have to wonder now, is it because is it because of the Mossad or something? The thought always does cross your mind. All right, so let's see here. Okay, beautiful. All right, we got one more segment, folks, on the day. This is kind of a quick one. Tucker Carlson went on Israeli television, and wow, it's kind of amazing that they brought him on there. But here he is putting this anchor in his place regarding the Iran war.
Caving to the United States would cave in to Iran terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz passway.
This is a professional news anchor, by the way. Not only are they morally repulsive, they're also stupid. This is why, I'm sorry, man. You sound like you're inbred. This is a professional television anchor. This is not like some guy on the street. A guy on the street, you don't expect to be the most articulate person in the world. You're talking about a professional television anchor who's being paid to interview one of the most famous journalists in the world as, so you nothing believe Iran terror regime threat to United States. What are you talking about? I'm going to give you all this money. At least learn to speak the language. Jesus Christ.
The United States would cave in.
Why would you caving to terror?
Iran terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz.
It's like talking to a caveman. Why would you caving to Iran terror regime? The guy's stupid.
The United States would cave in to Iran terror regime that controls now also the Hormuz passway. And
me vote Ed Gorein. Me no like Thomas Massie. Me America first. That's it's like Scott Jennings doesn't talk like that.
The best part
asshole,
of marrying my wife was it keeps me in touch with my aunt because that's also her mother.
Yeah. Now also the Hormuz passway and the terror ring that it created in the Middle East, maybe it would be even worse for any citizens in the world, not only in Israel, but also in the United States. And this is exactly what Donald Trump said. He said that the United States would have been in danger. So you don't believe Donald Trump?
I don't.
In my country, news anchors are kind of smart. You seem kind of stupid. Why is that? What's with that? What's going on?
I never thought about that.
What's going on? You seem like kind of a moron.
The United States would have been in danger. So you don't believe Donald Trump?
I don't believe Donald Trump. And I also think as an Israeli, you should pause before using the phrase terror regime, since you live in a country that just murdered thousands of children in Gaza. We should all pull back a little bit on the rhetoric that. I'm not defending Iran, but I'm just saying
even the fact
terror
that you want
regime,
me
it's a little hard to hear that from an Israeli right now, I have to say.
That you want me to make an equation between democratic government that's acting, maybe not to your taste, but
not to your
from self-defense, to a terror regime in Iran that is terrorizing its own citizens, that hanging people, gay people from cranes with Islamic extreme.
They're obsessed with this gay people thing, it's funny, because a lot of the tankies will say, not without justification that, you scratch one of these social democrats, really what they're all about at the end of the day is the LGBTQ thing. And it's true. They really do weaponize that. They really do take advantage of that. They really do get a lot of mileage over letting, people suck each other's dicks. They act like that really redeems a lot. Hey, as long as we gesture certain tolerance for gay people, we can kill as many Arabs as we want. And it's a checkmate when you talk to anybody about our values because, hey, we're nicer to gays than they are. By the way, I don't know. Do they hang gay people from cranes in Iran? I'm not seeing video evidence.
They always say this.
They always say that.
Off buildings. Where is the evidence for this?
Where are they buying these cranes from?
Where
you
are they?
think the vendors would do a boycott?
Well,
This is-
they're special cranes. They're like rainbow cranes.
Yeah, where are they getting the cranes from? What contractor are they calling up? You know,
No. I've got to look this up, man, because who was it? Caitlin Johnston, I think, shared it out. Quoting Drop Site News, she said they did an article, a few months ago or a year ago, about how the Israelis contracted a study showing that the best way for them to build their popularity back from where it is Islamophobia and emphasize the gay rights in Israel. Because that way you get the crackers and you get the libs.
Sorry,
Really?
and the libs. And the libs.
Yeah.
That's like Bill Maher's whole thing, right?
Right.
You could pay a 19-year-old to fuck you in Israel, not in Gaza or not in
Right,
Iran,
exactly.
you know.
That hanging people, gay people from cranes with Islamic extremist Sharia to a democratic country that's abide by international law of self-defense.
Okay. It continues in a separate clip here, but Tucker responds to his claim about Israel being a democracy here in this clip.
Saying that you're targeting only Israel, and by that.
Well, of course, I'm not targeting anybody. I don't have a military. I'm a podcaster, so I don't target people. What I'm saying is true, which is Iran's behavior, the government of Iran's behavior, is in some cases disgusting to me and immoral. But the behavior of the Israeli government in Gaza is disgusting and immoral. And of course, Israel's not a democracy in any sense. There are millions of people who live under Israeli control who cannot vote, right? And so if the West Bank, Judea and Samaria and Gaza, or whatever we're calling these places, which Israel has controlled since 1967, have people living in them who have no control over the government that controls their lives, which is true. It's not a democracy. So let's just drop the talking points. I agree with you on self-defense. I don't think killing children is self-defense. It never will be. And no amount of recounting the legitimate atrocities of October 7th will ever get me to accept this behavior from the Israeli government, from the U.S. government, from the Iranian government, or any government. It's always wrong. And Israel doesn't like to acknowledge the existence of universal principles that apply to everyone equally. That's why they're principles, not preferences. And Israel, again, which I've always liked as a country, has a lot of civilized, decent people living there to this day.
Like who?
Has to acknowledge that principles are universal. They apply to everyone, even you, even me. My government, your government, every government. But you won't acknowledge that. It's always like, oh, Iran's bad. Yeah, Iran's bad. But your behavior is bad too.
Okay, so, the way you get on to Israeli TV is, I guess, you make certain concessions he made, like a right to self-defense, which an occupying power under international law does not have. So, there are certain talking points there that he hits at, which I guess get him in the door. But you're attacking pretty hard, first of all, the whole concept of Israel as a democratic state and the whole moral standing that they invoke when it comes to justifying a war against Iran. And now, as for civilized people in Israel, well, there's at least one. There's Gideon Levy, a famous Israeli writer, who actually invited on the show a couple weeks ago, but he was busy. He wrote about how, Zionism is really being exposed for what it's always been right now. This is not really a crisis of Zionism. This is
I would come on, but too many F-bombs.
too much with the cursing, too much with the fuck this, fuck that. No, he wrote an article a while back that went kind of viral about how this is a fulfillment of Zionism. This is not what we're seeing now is not a perversion of Zionism. It's a fulfillment of it. And he wrote in response to this on Israel, Gaza, and Palestine, big mouth Tucker Carlson spoke nothing but truth. It's been a long time since such an interview has been aired here. It contained only truths. There wasn't one word that Tucker Carlson said in a conversation with Channel 13's Udi Siegel, I guess that's his name, that wasn't true. It was the distilled truth, a perfect mirror, which is why it evoked such a furor here. What was not true in what Carlson said? It's obvious that Israelis have no right to talk about other terror regimes such as Iran. Tucker told Siegel that he was living in a country that had recently murdered thousands of children. What was wrong about that? It's obvious that Israel is not a democracy in any sense, as Carlson said. There are millions of people who live under Israeli control who cannot vote. What in hell was incorrect in this? Tucker said that Israel had murdered thousands of children. So why was he who had called it genocide to blame? What was anti-Semitic about this? Siegel tried using the hackneyed excuse of self-defense, and Carlson reminded him that the murder of babies has nothing to do with that. Only one moment of untruth managed to creep in anyway. That was when Siegel, without a facial muscle twitching, defined Israel as a democratic country that abides by international law. Carlson may have a big mouth, but it's a truthful one. He represents a new and dangerous stream, Siegel said. Indeed, a new stream, but not necessarily a dangerous one. I wish more Israelis would listen to him. This stream wants a different Israel. What is dangerous is the fact that Israelis want their present Israel, one that dispossesses millions of people from their homes, one that kills tens of thousands of innocent people, erasing towns and villages from the face of the earth, while discriminating against 1/5 of its own population. And when someone comes along who is unimpressed by all the mendacious cliches, telling us and Americans that the emperor who dragged the U.S. into a bad war with Iran has no clothes, he is branded as an anti-Semite. Maybe he's a Nazi. Thank you, Tucker Carlson. You know, it's true. He says they're 1 in 5 Israelis are Arabs. Yet, if it's such a democracy, you never see an Israeli Arab on TV. Like, we don't see anybody.
Well,
arguing.
you'll hardly ever see a non-Ashkenazi Jew in a position of power.
Yeah, but like even in media, like you'd think they would bring one on for a debate. No, we've seen countless clips of Israeli television. You've never seen the Arab minority represented or their point of view represented in any way. Every once in a while, one of their politicians will make a video and post it to social media, but no. So that point of view is completely erased from Israeli TV, which is kind of surprising that they would have Tucker Carlson on and send someone on as stupid as this guy to try and
they
go
thought they were going to
toe-to-toe.
own him.
Yeah, like this guy is clearly not ready for any kind of prime time there. But the points are so obvious, are so obvious. And, you know, Tucker, look, he's a right-wing guy. He's a conservative guy. So he approaches these questions with certain preconceived notions about what it is he's talking about. And as far as he has strayed from his neocon past, you know, he still approaches this. Like he says at one point in this interview, you know, Israel has the right to self-defense just as every other country. But Israel's not every other country. Israel is an occupation. It's not just any other nation. If it were any other nation, it would have a right to self-defense. Now, there are, of course, rules of war. Civilians are to be protected in war. But the state of Israel, does not have the same rights under international law as any other country because it is not any other country. That's a talking point of Bernie Sanders. They had a right to defend it just like anybody else. Well, they're not just like anybody else, right? So yeah, Tucker still has certain blind spots, but the fact that a prominent conservative figure is willing to go into the lion's den and make those points, I've said this over and over again, for all of Tucker's faults, it is going to be the anti-Israel right that causes a rift in the ruling class right now. We saw that in the Thomas Massie primary, even though Massie came out on the 46% side, which is unfortunate. We wish he came out on the 54% side. You're still driving a wedge there that is going to do what? It's going to peel off millions of people from the pro-Israel Republican Party because of that wedge that's been driven through the right. You're going to have a lot of people say, you know what, this isn't what I thought it was. I'm out. The left doesn't have the ability to do that in this moment because the left doesn't have power in this moment. So you need people like Tucker out there saying these things, whether you like them or not.
Yeah, not only doesn't it have power, it doesn't have anybody who occupies the place that a Tucker Carlson or a Marjorie Taylor Greene or a Thomas Massie does. Saying these things. You've got Hassan Piker. It's a different thing, man. It's a different thing. Like, he does not hold the position with the left writ large that they do with the right. There's just no equivalent to somebody with the clout that Tucker Carlson has. Now, all of these Israel shills like Bongina over there and Benny in the closet, they really want to make this out that Yeah, we represent the Republican Party. And that's what I'm saying. For anyone who went through the Bernie thing, this is very deja vu, right? I mean, that was the exact same way they crowed when they installed Hillary in those primaries and when they installed Biden, right? The mockery, you don't represent the Democratic Party. And the same exact age divide, man, where you've got these geriatrics are propping up people who really don't represent anybody under 55, much less the country. I mean, you can see it in any of the polls. The country doesn't support Israel. The country doesn't support a war with Iran. The country doesn't support Donald Trump. But, there was just, I shared this. There's a post going around of the, current likely Democratic candidates, which doesn't mean it that much this far out, we know. But yeah, they're all a fucking nightmare, man. It's AOC, it's Pritzker, it's Whitmer, it's freaking it's Buttigieg, it's Harris. Like, come on, man. Like at that point, honestly, I looked at that and I was like, I don't even know how we'll cover that. Like I don't even know what we'd have to say about a race like that. Like, what would there be to talk about? I mean, all the action would be on the other side.
It would be morbidly fascinating. I mean, really kind of morbidly fascinating when you look at that. Like, from that crop of candidates, like Mark Kelly was the other one on the graphic.
Mark Kelly. Yeah.
I think Mark Kelly is and I don't know much about Mark Kelly's politics other than the fact that, he doesn't instantly make you want to vomit bile. So I guess Mark Kelly is the most electable one in the sense that, he just does not invoke that instant revulsion.
Viscerally repulse people. Yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, I think like Newsom and Pritzker could beat a completely dysfunctional Republican Party. Like if the Republican Party is just absolutely in shambles, the way it looks like it very well may be.
Yeah.
I think both of those candidates could win. The others, I don't even think could win under that circumstance. I don't think Whitmer could get elected even against the nightmare GOP or Kamala or AOC or any of them or Pete Buttigieg. No. Like, what is it going to take for you to understand? A Democrat cannot win with 0% black support. That is the end of the conversation. So all you fucking idiots who can't get this Pete Buttigieg out of your brain, he cannot win if black people don't vote for him. It's not possible. So he's unelectable. That's it. Like, I don't even understand what the conversation is around him.
Well, I heard they're putting together a diss track with him and Will Smith.
Yeah, right.
Actually,
trying to improve his image.
He's looking for work. So,
all right, this is a quick one before we go. This is more of Tucker on Israeli TV. Now, bear with me, folks. This is a bit of a public service that we're doing here. Because you've heard me say this before, you've heard me make this point before, but I really think the point just has to be repeated. And we don't know Tucker Carlson, but we know some people who know Tucker Carlson. Can somebody please, you don't have to send this segment to Tucker Carlson, but please just send Tucker Carlson the definition of genocide so that when this comes up, you have it ready to go.
Yeah,
I feel like everybody
he kind of pussied out there.
He whiffed on this, and why? Like it's very, very simple. All right, let's play this first. This is Tucker Carlson backtracking on the genocide claim.
Have you actually labeled Israel as committing genocide? You said that.
Ethnic cleansing. Israel's trying to take the people who live there and move them out.
You said genocide. You said about Israelis,
genocide, killing,
about the people,
killing
the state of the Jews. You said we are committing genocide.
Israel has murdered all these children, thousands of children in Gaza. But the real criminal is me because I describe that as genocide. Okay, it's not genocide. It's killing innocents. It's wrong. You can call it genocide or ethnic cleansing.
So you're not calling
it
a
crime, a sin, an atrocity. I don't really care. What I'm saying is murdering children is wrong. You're more upset by how I describe the murder of children than you are at the murder of children, which says a lot, I think.
Okay. All right. So kind of pussying out a little
you just
bit.
say yes. You just say yes.
Kind of backing off on that. Yes, it's very easy. It's very easy. I know your opinion is, hey, it's an atrocity. He has called it a genocide in the past. There's no reason to waffle on this point. You don't have to. I feel like to accommodate them by conceding that genocide is this vague term, right? As if it's a feeling. No, it's a very specific charge, and international law defines genocide very clearly. So can someone who knows Tucker Carlson, because we know a few people who know him, you don't have to send them this segment. I'm not trying to be a self-promoter, but just take this screenshot. This is from the UN. Just Google Genocide Convention, Article 2, definition. You'll see this. This is from the United Nations. Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide. In the present convention, genocide means any of the following acts committed with intent to destroy, in whole or in part, a national, ethical, racial, or religious group as such. In other words, any of these acts of violence, when committed against an ethnic group with intent to destroy them in whole or in part, killing members of the group, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. This is the big one here, because this one is in dispute. I mean, both of those two are obvious, but this is also indisputable. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part, i.e., bombing just about every hospital in Gaza, turning off the electricity, turning off the water, denying them food aid. That is a direct commission of item number 3. Imposing measures intended to prevent births within the group. We did a whole segment about the effect of the water crisis in Gaza, particularly on pregnant or expectant or new moms. And then number 5, forcibly transferring children to another group. Well, that hasn't been done in its completion, but they have tried. They're lobbying other countries. What can we do to get you to accept? So can someone just please pass it? Because I feel like this is something that happens over and over again, where people act like there's this big debate over what the word genocide is. Well, you can call it a genocide. You can call it ethnic cleansing. You can call it an atrocity. You can call it war crimes. No, genocide. Maybe it's because conservatives hate the UN. Maybe it's because they think the UN is fake and gay, so they don't want to cite the UN.
I mean, it could actually be.
Could be something to do with that. But for what it's worth, international law defines genocide very specifically, and Israel is explicitly guilty of 4 out of 5 of those things. And it's halfway towards being guilty of the 5th one. So there's no mystery here. There's no abstraction here. Okay. And I feel like if you're going to go into these conversations and these debates, just be armed with this knowledge. It's very simple. It's 5 points. It's not like you have to, read an entire document. It's short. It's right there. It's right there. The case is open and shut. It's genocide. So you could put that debate to bed.
Yeah, we should call it the Palestinian Holocaust, really. You really want to get under their skin.
Yeah, you really want to get under their skin. You can call it that.
Yeah, no, of course, the genocide. He also said, that he respects, he thinks Israel should exist, or he respects its right to exist as a nation. So, he's not ready to go there. Although, of course, in a way, it's going to be easier to penetrate Israeli defensiveness with that posture than with just you don't have a right to exist. At the same time, man, like, you look at what this guy is saying. Yeah, they're all like that. I mean, Zionists are all like that. They're just crazy, man. They're completely brainwashed. Like, the things they're telling you, most of them actually believe that. I mean, I guess the people inside Mossad who practice the dark arts, they have to be more aware of what's actually going on to understand what they have to pretend isn't going on. But most of them are like that anchor. Well, what about Iran? What about their?
Oh yeah.
Come on, man. Who did Iran attack? Who have they attacked? What children have they slaughtered? What people have they killed? What countries have they invaded? What are you talking about, man? You're fucking slaughtering people on every border, and you have been for decades.
And now Lebanon too.
And now in Lebanon, how can you compare? And not the first time in Lebanon. How can you compare Iran unfavorably to yourselves? But they just live in that bubble, man, and they're used to functioning in a media environment where nobody questions that formulation. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. I was just agreeing, but I'm copying over one of these last chats here. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll take these final few chats, and then we will be done with the show today. What did I do? Did I lose Angry Prole's chat? Sorry, Angry Prole.
I think I have one here.
Yeah, I got one. Yeah, you got 3 now. Go ahead.
I got 2. Raven Labs, no, Keaton, your internet has been fucking up because Vosh has been staying in New York State, using up all the Wi-Fi to download thousands of horse videos and donkey show videos.
Maybe.
Is he in New York? Is he here?
I don't know. I haven't checked the horse farms.
Jafari. Yeah.
Maybe that's why the horses are hiding in the barns. I haven't seen any horses around.
Wondering if the Israelis spared the gay Palestinians.
Yeah, right, exactly.
No, actually, I covered that a while ago. I can't remember who did that story. It might have been The Guardian, about how they leverage when they find gay Palestinians, they use it to get them to turn informant.
Right.
Angry Prole, DD Massie is funded by Club for Growth, which is funded by Jeffrey Yass, a supporter of the Greater Israel Project. It serves the same purpose as AIPAC. Saying Massie lost because of Israel is a lie. I don't know, man. That's some Y-file shit right there, my friend.
I mean, look, a lot of the I'm sure a lot of Chamber of Commerce types, I'm sure a lot of these, laissez-faire libertarian types are Zionists, right? Because there's a lot of overlap between corporate money and Zionism. So I don't doubt that there are certain pro-Israel people who may have supported Massie, but because I just think there's a lot of natural overlap there between, hyper-capitalist conservatives and the Israel cause. But, the media is saying that he lost because of disloyalty to Trump. Well, disloyalty to Trump over what? Over Israel, over Iran, and over Epstein, which is just a complicated way of saying over Israel, right? I mean, Israel is all over all three of those issues. Like, what did he betray Donald Trump over? Exactly.
Right.
He betrayed him over the Epstein files, over Israel, over, so, I think it's kind of crazy to say that, the Israeli money had nothing to do with it. They spent $15 million brainwashing people into voting against who they voted for unanimously 2 years ago. All right. Let's see here. Ron Contra says, Keaton, Air Moon Safari for your channel. Great electronic album. Russ, X-Men as a parallel to the civil rights movement. There you go. Yeah, subscribe to our side channels. We got Russ on the Road NYC, and then we got the Shuffle Pod. I was going to record a Shuffle video this morning. I had it all ready to go. I was going to actually do 2. But then my internet conked out.
So fucked them.
We'll have to wait because StreamYard is a website, so I can't even record if I don't have internet. It's not just like I can't post. I can't do anything if I don't have internet. So yeah, a couple of new Shuffle Pod videos coming up. I got a review of the new Social Distortion album, and then I'm going to rank all of their albums since I was fairly familiar with their stuff going in. So that'll be fun.
I am working on part 2 of Me Lie. That'll be the next video. Should drop as a premiere on Tuesday.
All righty. Ben-Givr says Andy Gardner, if raw sewage became a human, that being said, he speaks Hebrew beautifully. Effing monster. Yes, that's right. Ron Contra became a coddler, became a member. Thank you, Ron Contra. Appreciate that very much. Appreciate that. Thank you for your support, my friend. Turk Yurdu says YouTube won't let me tell you what it is. I love you guys. Well, you do the best you can. Zameet 1969 says, my God, unlike yours, dabbles in real estate. Yes, exactly. That's correct. All right, everybody, that's our show. Thanks for bearing with us today. Sorry about all the difficulties and the delayed starts. It was a tough one, but, Russ and I are theater guys. The show must go on, and the show went on.
Must go on, baby.
And we got through it, and now my internet is back just in time for the show to be over. So how do you like that?
Yeah, you had good reception for like the last hour.
Yeah,
that was like 2 out of 3 of your segments. So.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. So all worked out in the end. Well, hey, thanks everybody for being here very, very much. The Jimmy Dore Show is live now because he's on the road tomorrow. So catch the second half of his show right now. In fact, let me see if I can set up a raid for Jimmy. I'll raid that stream right now because I'm going to raid something on Rumble here. So I'll set that up right now before we leave. Or is he not live anymore? I thought he was live today. No, he's not live.
He might have gone to Rumble, right?
No, he's on Rumble. I checked because that's where I raid the stream.
Oh, I see.
I thought he was live. I thought he was live at 3:30 today. Oh, 3:30 his time. That means 6:30. All right. So he ain't on yet. He ain't on yet. Who else can I raid? I could probably raid Wineglass, right? Is the Homeless Left on? I'll see if he's on. Let's see. Yeah, Homeless Left is on. All right, I'll give our friend Matt Wineglass a raid. That sounds fun. All right, everybody. Well, want to thank you all very much for being here. Thanks for sticking with us today. We will be back on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Russ will have your China report Sunday, right?
Yep.
All right.
That is what I will be spending my weekend on, yeah.
All right. So that's the plan. Thanks, everybody, very much once again. Thanks to the YouTubers, the Rumblers. Thanks to the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. We'll see you back here Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks again for today. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.